Okay. So we'll start with Brandon and Cicely. Can you introduce yourselves?
Hi, Hare Krishna. My name is Brandon, and started doing Bhakti Sastri to study with the devotees and to hear and for the association. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, I'm Sastri, and same reasons for me. And I like learning the slokas as well.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. We can go on to Laveen.
Hi, Krishna. My name is Levine, and my reason for joining was I wanted a structured format of learning the Gita because I was just kind of reading a chapter here, reading a chapter there in the past, and I like the structure of this course, and it's I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. Nice to have you. Thank you. Lisa.
Hey Krishna, my name's Lisa. I joined Bhakti Sastri because I wanted to get a better, deeper understanding of the texts, and also I find that my reading is better when I'm held accountable. So, having to keep up for the class and participate in the discussions and things.
Thank you so much for joining. We have Anishwara Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. My name is Anishwara Das. I'm just here to get the structured way to study Bhagavad Gita. Thank you.
Did we lost Anishwar Prabhu's introduction for some reason. ISKCON London connection, I think.
Okay. My name is Anishwara Das, and I'm here to get the structured way of studying Bhagavad Gita. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Prabhuji. And last but not the least, on the Zoom, we have more people who are not on video, so I thought it was last. Abhijit, sir.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavats Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada. Please accept my obeisances. Yeah, I've been teaching Bhagavad Gita in ISKCON Scotland for about a year. Now I'm in Australia. I'm teaching every week Bhagavad Gita here, and I just wanted to take as much fantastic information from all you amazing devotees and increase my bhakti, increase my humility, and be able to spread everything that I get onto others, and try and further Prabhupada's mission, really. So that's my humble objective, and thank you very much for giving me the mercy of your teachings. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for being here. Hare Krishna. We have Sohil and Kush. Hare Krishna, Sohil.
Hare Krishna. My name's Sohil. Yes, yeah, and what brought me to doing Bhakti Shastri is that me and Kush, we are part of a sangha in Crawley, and we get together weekly and try to read through Bhagavad Gita and go more into depth. And we were recommended by Shyam Govinda Prabhu and Radharama Prabhu to just join and get better understanding on how we can develop our knowledge and how we can understand how everything works and who Krishna is. Just which we do at the moment.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining. Hare Krishna. And Kush.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. I just joined. I joined a bit late. Sorry about that. I was doing the exam. Yeah, just like to echo what Sohu said. I've joined because I want to learn the Bhagavad Gita in a more sophisticated manner. I want to hear from the devotees who have been studying it for a long time, and hopefully be able to preach as well in a very systematic manner, and just learn more about the Gita in detail. So yeah.
Thank you so much. And our own Harini Mataji.
Yeah, so I initially did this course to and I realized that it really helped myself. So, yeah.
Wonderful. And we have 3 students here in the classroom, Pratyaksha or directly. So I would like to, know you also a little bit, starting with yourself. Hare Krishna.
My name is Vaibhav.
Vaibhav. Nice to have you, Vaibhav.
I joined Bhakti Shastri because I wanted to understand Bhagavad Gita more deeply.
More
And
deeply.
the best way is to know from the devotees and you don't have that thoughts.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Yourself, Shachi Kumar Nimai Prabhu, who needs no introduction.
Yeah, my name is Sachi Kumar Nimai Das, and my Guru Maharaj recommends all his disciples to pass the Bhakti Shastri. I did it before, but I didn't pass it, so
Okay.
we're in it to win it.
You're in it to win it. Wonderful, wonderful. Let's hope you pass Bhakti Shastri this time. Hare Krishna. And yourself, Mataji.
My name is Ananta Kirti.
Ananta Kirti. Nice to have you.
Similar like others, I want to understand Bhagavad Gita better, and I need to progress in my spiritual life and then get second destination.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
I hope one day. So that's why.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you. Nice to have you here. And we have one more devotee right at the back who is finishing his exam, but he's hopefully soon to be here. Prabhu, may I request if you can close that door, otherwise we'll have a lot of noise. And this devotee also, I have known him from many years. He is constantly serving in the temple. As long as I have been here, I think I've seen him always serving in the reception or in some other services, feeding devotees some prasad. Would you like to introduce yourself, Prabhu? Nayan Prabhu. Okay, Hare Krishna. So are you all able to see? No, you are not able to see the devotees who are in front of me. That's okay. You can? No, but can they see you?
Oh, no.
No, they can't. Okay, that's okay. So thank you all. From whatever I've heard, there is a strong desire almost in every one of you that you want to learn Bhagavad Gita in a structured way. If not, you want to be able to give the messages of Bhagavad Gita to others. And the essential need for knowing Krishna more. I think that is the substance of all of your experiences that I've heard. So with that, I'll begin today's session by first invoking Mangala Charan prayers. And those of you who know the prayers, please sing along with me. It is a prayer so that we can actually hear. Without this prayer, we will not be able to hear Srimad Bhagavad Gita. What to speak of studying it. So I'll start. Om Agyantimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Trinadapi Sunichena Taroraptavya Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari. Do you all have a copy of Bhagavad Gita in your hand? I also don't have one. So I also need a copy of Bhagavad Gita in my hand. If someone can bring, or if someone has, please, if you can. It's extremely important to actually have a touch of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in your hands when studying Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Voice is one form in which the via medium can be penetrated. You will learn more about via medium in some time, but voice, which is transcendental, which has potency to pierce the via medium, it can pierce into your soul. But because we are not pure, because we are not purified, therefore it's really critically important. Thank you so much. Critically important that we actually hold Srimad Bhagavad Gita in our hands. And in this way, seek blessings of Bhagavad Gita so that we can actually understand something. Prabhupada, when he actually started to speak about this 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he says that we are in illusion, we do mistakes, we have imperfect senses, and so, it's not possible and so we are not liberated because we have this problems of Michi. I call them Michi: mistake, illusion, cheating, and imperfect senses. MICI. So because we have these imperfect senses, therefore we tend to make mistakes. And because of the imperfect senses, we also end up being in illusion. So this cycle of illusion, imperfect senses, leading into mistakes. And after we do mistakes, we want to hide our mistakes. So we try to cheat. Right? So we try to cheat. So this problem of Michi, because of this problem of Michi, it exists in us because we are not liberated. And because I am not liberated myself, I have these same problems. And because I have these same problems, therefore Prabhupada says that I'm not a teacher, I'm a cheater. And he's right. And so Prabhupada says that because we are cheaters, we are not teachers, therefore we have to follow what Krishna says himself directly. What Krishna's representatives who are on the perfected platform, which I am not. So Prabhupada is on the perfected platform. So if we read Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is from Prabhupada's books, by touching it, by feeling it, by hearing the sound vibration, then actually we will be able to get it. Not just intellectually, not just mentally, but the knowledge has to be gotten by soul. And the body is a sleeping matter. To actually get knowledge by soul, we have to do these things. We have to learn from Krishna directly. So 13th, in the previous section, in the 12th, you've gone through 2 units. First unit was mainly about karma mishrit bhakti, or bhakti in the mode of mixed modes of activity or karma. Can you mute yourself? I think Harini Mataji, if you can, thank you. So first unit of Bhagavad Gita was karma mishrit bhakti, or bhakti which is mixed by karma or activities. The second unit of Bhagavad Gita was pure devotional service. It was the middle layer of the sandwich, which you have all hopefully relished. If you haven't relished, you have missed it. But I recommend to go and read properly, thoroughly, and you will relish it more and more. And now the next unit of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is the bread portion of the sandwich, it is Jnana Mishrit Bhakti, which means it's knowledge mixed with bhakti. It's important that we actually all understand Karma Mishrit Bhakti and Jnana Mishrit Bhakti. The bhakti which is mixed with activities and the bhakti which is mixed with jnana also. Because we are not all born as pure devotees. Who here is born as pure devotee? So we either fall as one of the two. We fall as someone who is after knowledge, or we fall into this category that we want to do activities and we want to make sure our activities are perfect and we are focused on getting the results right. So we fall in these two categories, and so either side we will learn something. And so also that these next 6 units, 6 chapters of this unit, they also have bhakti in them. So Arjun, when he begins this unit, he starts asking questions to Krishna. He asks 6 questions. Let me see if I can share my screen. 1 second.
Michi, what's M again?
Mistake, illusion, cheating, and imperfect senses. Let me just quickly share my screen. Share screen. Desktop. Share. Okay, you all see my screen? I guess you can see my screen. Let me see, how do I do play? So these are the 6 questions which Arjun is asking in this chapter. But we will go shloka by shloka, and we will try and get through all of these in this time. So I'll read Sanskrit shloka. Those who actually have Bhagavad Gita and can read Sanskrit, please do so, because it is going to help. I'm going to bring that up on screen for everyone's benefit anyways. Oops. Okay, when it goes into the presentation mode, it can't swipe.
I think we found that, yeah, if it's in play.
Yeah. Okay. So this is Arjun's 6th question. Shri Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusham cheva kshetram kshetragnam cha etad veditum ichhami jnanam gneyam cha keshava. So Arjuna said, prakritim, or the material nature, purusha, or the enjoyer, cheva, kshetram means field of activities or the field itself, kshetragnam, which means actually one who knows the field of activities or the field. Evacha, etad veditum ichhami. Please tell me, Veda means knowledge, veditum means to give me that knowledge. Please give me this knowledge, and also tell me about jnanam and gneyam cha keshava. So also tell me what is jnana and what is gneyam, that which means what is knowledge and what is the object of the knowledge. O Keshava. This is how Arjun begins his questioning to Krishna. So Krishna immediately starts answering not the first and second question. Krishna starts answering with 3rd and 4th and 5th question. It's very interesting that although Arjun has asked the question in certain sequence, Krishna starts answering them in a specific sequence, because Krishna knows that a child has to be taken from milk into food. There is milk, then there is solid foods like fruits, then there is proper food like grains. So first Krishna starts answering by what is kshetra and what is kshetragnam. So we will see what Krishna says. He says, Shri Bhagavan. Anyone wants to read this second one?
Shri Bhagavan vacha idam sharinam kunteya shetram shre adityate etadyo vetitam prahu shetragya tad vidaha.
Wonderful. So Krishna says, he begins with the body. He begins with the kshetra. Now kshetra, which means the field. Now Prabhupada says, if you hear this word field, what comes to your mind first? You can all unmute yourself and we can have an interactive session. So you don't need to keep yourself on mute. So what does the first impression of the word field?
Where you grow something.
Where you grow something. Wonderful. Thank you so much. So Nayan Prabhu says field means where you grow something. Such a beautiful word, right?
No, you said it and I came with it. I'm playing with you.
No, I know it. But Prabhupada also says that field is place where you actually grow something. You grow vegetables, you grow fruits. And when you grow these vegetables and fruits, then you get these vegetables and fruits and you enjoy these vegetables and fruits. Similarly, this body, which is the field, someone is enjoying. Something we are getting out of this body, and someone is enjoying this body. So this body is actually called the field. Krishna says this. And yes, any questions? Please feel free to ask questions. If you have questions in between, you can interrupt me.
I was just going to say also, this body creates good and bad fruit as well, not just good and bad
Wonderful.
vegetables.
Yes.
So the reactions of the yeah. Anyway, I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes, you're right.
Karma, yeah, good and bad karma.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right. So these are the two things is body, is the field, and the field will result in some fruits and vegetables, something that will come out of the field. What comes out of the body we'll see in a moment. But essentially this body is the field, and Krishna says that one who knows this body is called the knower of the field, or Kshetragna. It's extremely important to understand this word Kshetragna. Why? We will explain in the next verse. So if we go to the next verse, I'm just going to go read this one. Kshetragnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetragna yor jnanam yatya jnanam matam mama. Krishna says that, oh Shayan of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all the bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Very concise, very precise. Just in first two shlokas, Krishna has answered what is field, who is the knower of the field, and what is knowledge. Krishna is next going to elaborate on knowledge, but let's just pause here for a moment. And let's just think a little bit deeper here. That Krishna has said that if you understand the body and the knower of the body, then you are in knowledge. So anything in this world that we want to actually understand, or any question we have, we can just have two questions, which is what is body and who is the knower of the body. I don't know how many of you suffer medical problems. As the age grows, the body becomes a source of diseases. It gives you troubles. The bones ache. There is, all kinds of diseases. There is diabetes. Sometimes there is high blood pressure. Sometimes you have arthritis. Sometimes, some dangerous forms of cancer. Sometimes there's so many diseases. When you actually go through diseases, then you become a little bit more aware of your body. Raise your hands if you have not become aware of your body because of the diseases. Everyone becomes aware. Yes, Harini. Yes, because you are in a young body at this point in time. Or you have a question.
No, sorry, I was raising my head because it said raise hand.
Okay. Thank you. So everyone has to actually study the body at some point in time. Between early age till like your youth, you actually have no conception what is going on in your body because everything is in an automatic mode. You can't even remember when did you pee when you were 7 years old. Do you remember it? No, you can't. But if you undergo a deep trouble with your body at the age of 30, at the age of 40, at the age of 50, you have this memory that I can't eat these food items because they cause me these problems. Doctor has told me not to eat, not to take weeds, not to, take marijuana because I know what it does to my body, right? So you get these experiences of the body when you are actually fully, it's like, your father was driving your car since your birth, but when you grew up, the keys of the car were handed over to you. Similarly, at certain point in time, you become aware of your body. And that's the age when you can start asking yourself questions. Those people who are doing yoga or meditation, they are not the people who we should look down upon, because when they do this yoga meditation, they are trying to do the breathing techniques because they are actually trying to see what's happening in their mind. They're trying to see, if is there an accumulated pain in certain bone. They're going through part by part of the body and they're meditating on every single limb of the body and they're trying to isolate the pain. Where is the pain in their body? So basically all of these people, they are on path of spirituality. Because according to Krishna, anyone who is trying to know the body, they don't try to know who is the owner of the body. That's the only problem. And Prabhupada says that you have to know this, who is the owner of the body. When Prabhupada gives this example of eye finger and my finger, this finger, is it called eye finger? No, it's not called an eye finger. And similarly, this nose is not called eye nose. Like you have an iPhone, which is a phone, but you don't have eye finger, you don't have a, eye nose. You have my nose, you have my finger. So there, who is this my? Who is this my? So Prabhupada says, even by just asking basic questions, you can understand that you are not this body. You are not just this body. Yes, Nayan Prabhu.
Might be a really silly question. I've always wondered why we're using an analogy here in the sense that it's the body and the knower of the body. So why the field and the knower of the field?
Why? Wonderful question. Why the field and the knower of the field? Okay.
Choosing the field, we could choose anything. So why field?
Okay. So
One question related to that.
yeah, just let me just answer that and then I'll answer you. So Nayan Prabhu kindly asked a question. I'll just repeat it for the benefit of online audience. Is, if it was so simple to understand the body and the knower of the body, why the words like fields have been used here? Field and the knower of the field. Is it to make things very complex for us? That's Nayan Prabhu's question. And then remind me your name. Vaibhav has one question. Vaibhav, please ask your question.
Who is the knower of field?
Who is the knower of the field? So
We are talking about the knower of field.
knower of the field. So Krishna answers your question exactly in this next shloka, in this shloka that I just read, but I'll tell you in a moment.
So we're trying to.
Yes.
Yes, I'm not sure if you're asking the question, but I think Krishna is trying to assist in differentiating between the soul and the physical material body and the elements of the body, and then the interaction of the body with the material world.
Yes.
So he's trying to detach that two things in your mind. Whereas if you don't know anything about spiritual Bhagavad Gita or Bhakti, the two things are one thing for you, the soul and the body. So he's trying to credit what is happening to the body and what it's interacting with, that is known by the soul, but really it's not going to affect the soul you have to try and detach the two things. That's the idea of creating this concept of a field.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you. That's a beautiful answer.
That's the question, because it's just a direct analogy of the body and the soul, and then you have
Yes.
the field and the knower.
Yeah. So answer that Abhijit Prabhu is trying to say is that, look, when you speak of the body and the knower of the body, for 99% of the people in the world, they actually have no conception that the two are separate. They think that it's one and the same thing. If I tell you something, then you take it that you have been told something. So Krishna, by giving an example of field and the knower of the field, he's separating the field and he's separating the knower of the field. That's why, so that's one very good answer. Thank you so much, Abhijit Prabhu. The second answer is because entire Bhagavad Gita and entire Srimad Bhagavatam is always given through real life examples. And sometimes there are allegories used, which are also very much real life. Why Krishna does this? Anyone? Why Krishna in Bhagavatam, in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and even the great acharyas, Prabhupada has there is a book specifically of Prabhupada examples. The examples he used. Why is this done?
Easier to understand.
Easier to understand. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking like even if you're an author, if you're writing something or
Yeah.
communicating something, then you take into consideration the audience that you're speaking to.
The audience you're speaking to. So you are basically, by an example, you can make audience understand.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Sachi Kumar Nimai Prabhu said that these examples are used because to make an audience understand. That's a very beautiful and apt answer. So this is the right answer, that people are in different modes of nature, which we are going to learn in next chapter, in this chapter. They are in different levels of education. And because they are at different levels of education, they will not understand something which is given to them at certain level, but they will understand an example. And therefore, the acharyas and Krishna, they always used the most common minimum example that everyone can understand. And so the examples used are very similar. They are very basic, and they have a direct, you can actually relate to them because they have happened in your lives. Examples they have happened in your life. So field is mentioned, and Prabhupada actually gives lecture on this class. He starts by saying, just as there is a field where you actually sow seeds and you get fruits and vegetables. So therefore, Krishna is also using an example of the field. And some examples are allegorical, like, you have a match, but some examples are literal. In this case, the example is literal. Yes, there is an external field. Similarly, actually, this body is a field. It's a field because, in a field, there are, you can sow different plants. There are different outcomes. And similarly, this body has different outcomes.
And they're on the field as well, battlefield.
This is a battlefield. Yes, we are also on the field, in every sense, like karma. If you take karma, we have to do karma. So that becomes a field of actions and reactions. If you take the body, you have to maintain the body. So body becomes the field for your senses and including the mind. Now coming to Vaibhav Prabhu's question, where Vaibhav Prabhu is asking, who is Kshetragna? Kshetragna means one who knows the field or one who knows the body. So you tell me, who knows the body? You have a body, right? Who knows your body? You. Wonderful. Yeah. Sorry.
The soul?
Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
The soul, the Atma?
The soul, yes. So my body, I know. So soul knows their own body, right? I, for example, cannot know your body. If you have an ache right now in the third lumbar bone, I don't know about it because you are Kshetragna. You are the knower of your body. But now there is a very important thing which is actually hidden. Bhagavad Gita is very direct, but it's also very secretive. If you are looking at my screen, and if you look at this verse, Kshetragnam cha api. Cha api. I have highlighted here in blue. Cha api means also I am. Also I am.
Krishna.
Yeah. So Krishna is saying that Kshetragnam cha api, that also I am, mam vidhi. Vidhi means knowledge. Vit means, you have heard this word vidya. It comes from the root word called vit. And vidhi is a mutation of the word, where in grammatical sense it means to know. So Kshetragnam cha api mam vidhi. Know that, O Arjuna, that I am also Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. Sarva means all. Kshetra means of all the bodies. O Bharata, I am also the knower. Isn't that beautiful? That this two words which are presented in Bhagavad Gita in a combined format, cha api, actually hold the secret to the most important answer for generations and generations. All scholars have fought over this point. They have not shed bloods, but they have shed a lot of mental and intellectual capacity in fighting the other camp. There are two camps in the world. And one camp is a Mayavad camp, which says that, we are ourselves God. And there is no other God. The soul, which is entrapped in this body, one day it will come out of this body and it will mix with the Supreme Soul, which is all pervading. Supreme Soul, which is all pervading. Now, Krishna here, if he wanted to say Krishna or God, if he had to say that actually, yes, I am Krishna, you are also Krishna, all living entities are Krishna, then he wouldn't have used the word also. I also. By using the word also, it means there is some party and then there is also one more party.
You can close the book and go home.
You can. There is no fight with the Mayavadis. They just don't want to accept what Krishna has said as it is. This is Sanskrit as it is. That's why Prabhupada named the book as it is. Now you are going to see further in this chapter, in refuting the Mayavadis, this is the first point that starts. And then the whole chapter, Krishna explains how the super soul, but the language Krishna uses is so nice that it can easily confuse Mayavadis even further. They can like Krishna will say further that my hands and legs are everywhere. This is Mayavadis just love this kind of language. They just love it. So, but before saying that, Krishna is setting the ground here. Krishna is telling us that, look, there are two portions. There is the soul, and also there is Kshetragna, which is I. That in all the Kshetras, in all the fields, in all the bodies, I am also the knower, which means there are two people who know it. One is the soul and one is the super soul.
We're playing devil's advocate.
Yes.
Could the Mayavadis not translate it slightly differently to how Prabhupada was saying it?
Okay, so very
Sanskrit has
many ways. So Nayan Prabhu has put a very valid counter argument. He's saying, can Mayavadis not change this cha api word to mean something else? Because Sanskrit is a language of not of the sound vowels, but it's a song. It's a intent and the meaning that comes out of the word. So the same words could be used, but the intent could be different, and the intent is represented by how you pronounce the words. So yes, they could use this word cha api, but if you go to any Sanskrit scholar and if you take the number of times these words have been used, the cha and api, there are only limited combinations of meanings that these words can have. And in all such combinations, it means two parties. It means there is something and then also there is something else. So this is what Baldev Vidyabhushan explains. And, this is where Krishna, in a very simple terms, setting a ground that, look, I am further now going to give you deeper knowledge of the super soul. Don't misunderstand it that you are that super soul. A soul can never become a super soul. Okay. So moving further, any questions, any thoughts, any things that you want to share before we move on to the next?
Hare Krishna. I wanted to understand the meaning behind why Lord Krishna uses the words, that is my opinion.
Yes, very good question. Very good question. Thank you so much for asking this question. Answer is given in this verse and the verse after that. So if you bear with me for one moment, you will get your answer.
Sure, thank you.
Anyone can read this verse? Shrunu. Wonderful. Tat kshetram yatcha yadrikcha yad vikari. Vikari means one which can which transforms, mutable. Yatascha yat sacha yo yat prabhavacha tat samasena me shrunu. So Krishna says, now please hear my brief description of the field of activity and how it is constituted. What its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are. Sum and substance of this verse is Krishna is now wanting to explain to you the combinations of the body. Let me just quickly go back to my slide and you will see these are the 6 topics which Krishna is explaining here. Composition of the body. What is the composition of the body? Because if knowledge means know the body and know the knower of the body, only 2 topics are topics of knowledge. Nothing else is topic of knowledge. Then basically you have to understand what is body, what is it composed of. So composition of body, yat cha, qualities of the body. What are the qualities of the body? And then changes that body undergoes. The body undergoes changes. And then origin of the body, yataha. And then identity of the body, swarupa, or the knower of the body. And the powers of the knower of the body, yat prabhavaha. So these are the topics which Krishna is going to now further elaborate. And then Krishna is explaining, this is extra pieces of knowledge which Krishna doesn't go. He says that you can actually know all of these topics from Sankhya philosophy, which is actually in 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, briefly mentioned by Kardama Muni and Devahuti. But Krishna here gives a brief explanation. What is the composition of the body? Composition of the body is composed of 5 great elements: Mahabhuta, false ego, Ahankar, and intelligence. the unmanifested state of 3 modes of material nature, which is called pradhana, and the 10 senses and 5 sense objects. It's very mind-boggling. Every time I read this, I can't understand what Krishna is saying, to be honest, because my mind cannot see it. So if you just go and do it like this, what are 24 elements? You have to understand it like this. It says 24 elements are basically 5 great elements, which are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These, everyone knows these 5 great elements. Then you have 5 knowledge acquiring senses. You know, from your ears, you are hearing. So you are actually perceiving the external world. With your nose, you are smelling, which is outside your body. So you are gaining knowledge of something that is outside your body using these senses. And all of these knowledge acquiring senses, they are actually on your face. Skin, you know, eyes, ears, nose, tongue. This is what a child in a nursery is taught. Where are your skin? Where is your eyes? Where is your nose? You know, all these things they are taught in their school. So these are 5 knowledge acquiring senses. All knowledge acquiring senses, they acquire knowledge from something that is outside the body, and they are all on the face. And then there are 5 working senses, you know, with which we actually work, like hands and legs, anus, genitals. These are all working senses. Voice is a working sense. And then there are 5 sense objects. You know, these senses, the knowledge acquiring senses specifically, and the working senses, they interact with 5 types of objects, like smell and taste, you know, smell with the nose, taste with the tongue. So all these 5 knowledge acquiring senses, they have an object for each of them. So this becomes 15 knowledge acquiring senses, working sense. This becomes 20. And mind, you know, it's called the 11th sense after the working sense, knowledge acquiring senses and sense objects. Mind is therefore called the 11th sense because it's there between, after these 5 plus 5, 10. If you just subtract the working senses, just consider the knowledge acquiring senses and the sense objects for the knowledge acquiring senses. After these 10 senses, mind is the 11th sense. So it's 21. Then intelligence, false ego, and pradhana. Intelligence and false ego. These are, of these senses, 20 senses, the 3 are subtle senses. And pradhana is also subtle, but pradhana I'll go a little bit in deeper in a moment. But 3 senses. Yes.
Sorry, Prabhu, sorry to interrupt you. Didn't want to interrupt your flow. I think it's important. Anyway, I might be wrong about this. You can correct me, but I think it's important to know the kind of background, more of the background reason behind this discussion is, for example, in chapter 3, verse 27, Krishna is saying, effectively deluded think they're the doer of acts which are actually carried out by the 3 modes of material nature. Yes. And the reason we are really listing these things is to understand what is entrapping us in this material world. You know, what is actually keeping us with this bodily identification, so that when we can see these things affecting, we can understand, get closer to the standard of do not be unhappy, happy, do not, you know. So that this is the understanding of this breakdown of the body is ultimately Krishna has created everything in the material world, and these are restrictions to reform the embodied soul who has been rebelling.
Yes, yes, that is going to be explained in coming verses. Krishna is going to explain. But basically here in this specific verse, Krishna says that I'm not going to go in deep details of what the composition of the body is. And Krishna says you can learn that from Sankhya philosophy, but Krishna just gives a summary of it. I have just posted some details of it a little bit more so that people can actually understand. Every time we speak of material body, what are we speaking about? We are speaking about 24 elements, of which 5 are knowledge acquiring on the face. These 5 knowledge acquiring senses, they have 5 sense objects. Then there are working senses, hands, legs, anus, genital, and voice. This becomes 20. 21st is the mind. So next 3 are, so 20 are gross senses, which you can touch, feel, and understand. Then there are subtle senses, which you can't see, touch, feel, and understand, but they exist and you know it, is mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are subtle senses. So that becomes 23. And pradhana is the first material primordial substance, which is also the root of Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva and pradhana, if you don't understand now, hold that thought. I will keep putting Sanskrit terms, which you will actually then be able to relate in coming time. So Pradhana is actually even the further root of Mahat Tattva. And so Pradhana is the first material primordial substance which gets injection from the vision of the Supreme Lord. And then the whole material existence starts to happen. It's not the Big Bang, but it's better than that. It's not the Big Bang, it's the bang of the vision of the Supreme Lord. Injection of the energy of the Supreme Lord into this Pradhana. So we are all composed of this Pradhana. So this is the material composition. The aggregate of these 24 elements is called the field of activity. By analytical study of these 24 elements, one can understand field of activity. If someone analytically starts to study each of these, then they will actually understand where they are in, what's their coordinates. As Prabhu was mentioning, there is a purpose Krishna is giving this information, because we have to understand where we are, who we are, where we are. If we are the soul, then soul, it is entrapped in this cage of these elements, and every single element of this will have an impact on you. Like high tide and low tide, moon has got great impact on you, because 80% of the body is made up of water, and water is one of the Panchabhuta, or the 5 great elements of which we are composed of. But material scientists think that only water has so much impact on us, because they can study moon and they know that the high tides and low, but we are also composed of fire, and we are also composed of earth, and material scientists have no clear understanding of how these elements are also impacting us. Water, fire, everything is actually impacting us. They don't know the science between the gross and the subtle, but we in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, we know this science.
What is ether?
Ether means space. Yeah.
So like when you say the fire of digestion, they wouldn't use that phrase. That doesn't.
It doesn't ring bell with them.
They don't have like a scientific proof that how fire is.
Correct. They will say acidity. If you take the belly of a human being, they will say that in the belly of a human being is acid, and acid is the one which digests the food. But yeah, that's what Vedas are explaining, that actually the root of acid is fire. The root of acidity is fire. When you have high acidity in your chest, how do you feel? Burn. Right? So this is what the books are explaining. They are giving you direct science.
How does earth affect us?
How does earth affect us? Earth affects us because we have certain weight, we have certain mass, and we are under this gravitational pull of the material nature. So try increasing your weight and try running. You will see the direct correlation of how earth impacts us. And try reducing your weight and try running. In fact, someone who is very spiritually advanced, extremely spiritually advanced, they have very, very less weight. They become lighter by day because their hearts are extremely light, and likewise their bodies become extremely light. So Prabhupada, when he was here, he felt like extremely light. And a lot of his disciples could know it, that he was personality, he was floating, floating in the sense that not floating in the air, but they could see that his movements he would walk so fast that people would, at the age of advanced age, he would walk so fast. So people, were just trying to follow him up. So this is a symptom of a very spiritually advanced person mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so we move further because I realize that we only have till 1:30. But please feel free to stop me. So the next verse, before I answer Prabhu's question, I think Sohil Prabhu asked a question. Krishna says, why that is my opinion. Why Krishna is saying like this, that is my opinion. So we are going to come to that. But here, Krishna mentions further in this verse that I'm going to tell you about these things now, about the body and what happens with the body. Before we get into this verse, let me just explain these things. These are the qualities or changes of the body. Remember, we discussed these are the 6 things that happen. What the composition of the body, the qualities of the body. What are the qualities of the body? The qualities of the body are sukham, dukham, hatred, ichha, dvesh, the aggregate evolving of the 24 elements, and convictions, dhriti. Now there are many qualities like fear and humility, humbleness. All of these qualities, they have an impact on the body. They change the body. These are the qualities of the body which actually can change the body. Every time, if you remember, if you were angry, you will note that your body is becoming hotter. If you are extremely angry, the temperature is going higher. And when the anger is at its peak, your eyes will go red. Your eyes will go red. And similarly, when you are happy, then you will automatically see you have a slight smile on your face. And when you are very happy, then you will be laughing, generally jovial, continuously jovial. And when you are even higher degree of happiness, you will possibly start to weep. And there is another 2 levels of happiness which I don't want to discuss at this stage because maybe it will not be suitable. So there is constant change of the body because of the qualities of these body. These are the qualities of the change. All of these qualities, they have an impact on us. They will change us as a human being. If you are humble and if you remain humble constantly, that will slowly start to come on your body. Your limbs, you will see that your shoulders will never be strong, stout like that, which is a posture for confronting or a posture for confidence. It can be both. But, if someone has a strong posture, then you should not identify that, oh, this person must be rude and not humble. Because there is not just a combination of bodily posture, but the gross should be complemented by subtle. Gross and subtle should go together. You can't judge someone's gross body and just say that, judge them on that gross body. A lot of people do this mistake. They see some people, and specifically learned people make this mistake more because they are conditioned by their biases. So therefore, only saintly Vaishnavas can actually see the people and not judge them. And Prabhupada was one such personality. We have very great many saints in our movement where, a lot of our sannyasis, they will see someone on the street and, the person might be a beggar, but they won't care whether the person is a beggar or they are a millionaire. They can see through the person and they will treat them with equality, which is also what Krishna mentions in this chapter further. If we manage to finish this chapter today, I need to speed up. Life symptoms means consciousness, chetna, awareness, and convictions means determination, your dhriti. Only a human being is determined, right? Like that. So again, these qualities are not exhaustive. There are other qualities, and body undergoes 6 changes also, which we mentioned here. That composition of the body, the qualities of the body, yad vikari, the body undergoes changes. So the 6 changes that body undergoes, namely birth and growth. So someone is born, then they grow, then the body is maintained, and then there is maturity. The body doesn't grow. They say in Ayurveda that after 40, you don't grow like this, you grow like this. There is a big struggle because you're not going to grow up any more. So if you eat, you're only going to grow like this. So then you have to start controlling.
All the way to 40.
Till 40 you can eat because your fire of digestion is
still going to 40. I thought it was earlier.
No, you stop growing like this way earlier. But after 40, if you eat anything more, it always, but before 40, your fire of digestion is strong. So you don't grow like this. It can come out of your body. But after 40, your fire of digestion goes weak. And when we are discussing of body, so Prabhupada also mentions that the body is composed of kapha, pitta, and vata, according to Ayurveda. So essentially, body is body, and it is composed of these 24 elements. It has these qualities, subtle qualities, which change the human body. And also, these bodies constantly undergoing transformation. So every one of us should actually ponder where we are in this cycle of growth, maintenance, maturity, decline, and death. Where are you? You should answer this question to yourself and think that, okay, I'm still stuck in these 24 elements. If I don't have food at 9 a.m. in the morning, my breakfast, this is the trouble that my body gives me. If I don't have food for 2 days, this is the trouble I have to go with for my body. So I am entrapped. This is meant to actually get you thinking. That's why Krishna is describing.
It was a bit like earlier, City of Nine Gates.
City of 9 gates, Prachini Bharishat. Yeah, that pastime one should read for this to understand this chapter even deeper. Yeah. Okay. So we move further. Now we will answer the question which Sohail Prabhu actually asked, that, why is Krishna saying that is my opinion? What was the need for Krishna to say, what is my opinion? So here the answer comes. Rishibhir bahudagitam chandobhir vividhe pritak Brahma Sutra Padescheva Hetumadbhir Vinishchite. I would love to go in every single Sanskrit word because they are simply pleasure giving and they are joy to the heart. Unfortunately, we can't be going into it because Bhagavad Gita, this is a macroscopic study. Then there is a little bit at a level which is a microscopic study. Then there is a ultrascopic study, and then there is nanoscopic study. This course, it's still at a macroscopic study. It has not gone micro. Because to go micro, you have to take one shloka, and in one session, only one shloka will happen. But in this one session, we have to cover 35 shlokas. So of the whole chapter. So so this is a macroscopic study. There is a microscopic study, which is, I can't tell you what it is. Microscopic study will make you further self-realized, and every one of you, you have to do this microscopic study yourself or in association of devotees if possible. And then there is nanoscopic studies, and then femtoscopic studies are also there. So devotees are reading Bhagavad Gita forever, and there is unlimited joy and a realization in reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So here Krishna says that knowledge of the field of activities and the knower of activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. Now Krishna, to answer Sohail Prabhu's question, Krishna is actually referring to Vedanta Sutra. He is referring to all the Vedic writings. There is a reason for this. Because all these Vedic writings, we may think that this was written by X author, this was written by Y author. To write something, if you have to write something, then you have to sit down and you have to clear your head with everything and you have to focus on what you have to write. Without actually focusing on what you have to write, you can't write anything. To focus on what you have to write, you have to first think what you are going to write in your heart. And all of this happens in a split second. See, this is complete science. This is the sequence of how activities actually happen. So you have to focus your mind. You have to start thinking what you're going to write. And sometimes the things that you're going to write will come from your experiences. Those are called realizations. And sometimes when you write, something will just come straight from your heart. And you will think, oh, how did I get this? How did I think about this? Why did it come to me? And this straight thing that coming straight from your heart is something that Super Soul is pushing onto you. So writing is not an ordinary task. Writing by people who don't have the problems of michi, mistake, illusion, cheating, and imperfect senses. They directly are connected with their Super Soul. And so when they write, these people who are liberated, they are not projecting their thoughts. They are just projecting something that is coming straight from the Super Soul. And that Super Soul is pushing that straight into their mind, in their consciousness. And in their consciousness, their vision is not blurred. Our vision becomes blurred because our consciousness is all dusty. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. We have to clear our consciousness. Their consciousness is not dusty. So they can see things as it is, as they are. Therefore, when Prabhupada wrote Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, Prabhupada saw things as it is because it comes from his heart. He is a liberated, pure personality of Godhead. Sorry, liberated, pure servant of the personality of Godhead. My mistake. Prabhupada will throw me out if I say this. He did that already with 2 of his disciples. So this is what happens. That And Prabhupada accepted those disciples back again when they said sorry. So just to let you know, he's not a cruel spirit. He was most merciful. So all the Vedic writings Krishna is referring, these Vedic writings are actually Krishna's bodies were different, souls were different, the knowledge was pushed by Krishna. And so if I have written something already, if I've given some knowledge, then I'll say I've already told about this and here they are. Have a reference. But also if I've asked someone to do a work on my behalf, if like my pupil, if my colleague is going to do some work for me and they do a good job, then I will mention that they have done this work because I instructed them to do it, which means the only reason I'll instruct them is because their heart and my heart is in sync. And Krishna's heart and every individual's heart can be in sync because Krishna is in everyone's heart. So essential idea is, therefore, Krishna is referring back to his own writings or Vedic writings. And he's specifically referring to Vedanta Sutra, which is the summum bonum of the Vedas. And therefore, Krishna is using the word, that is my opinion, because now in next verse, he's saying, he's also giving opinions of others. And this is how if someone wants to give message of Bhagavad Gita to others, the reason I don't want to use the word preaching is because I have not managed to ever do it till this point in time in my life. I'm still trying to understand Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and at the max, whatever I've understood a little bit, I can pass on the messages because we are extremely limited. You saw that I'm already trapped in these 24 elements with my mind engaged in it. So to actually be able to preach, you have to come out of these entrapments and be able to pass on the message without any filters. And because we are inside the filters, we can preach, but we can't preach properly because we are in the filters. So therefore, we always seek blessings of parampara so that we can pierce the via medium. The word via medium I'll keep using, and at one point in time, you will understand what via medium is. Not necessarily in this session, but it's a very deep topic. Any questions so far? Sohil Prabhu, are you clear with your question?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking that question. It was a beautiful question. Okay.
Can I have a wider context as well? This just comes to my mind, was that the sentimentality on my behalf. Krishna is being humble as well.
Krishna is being humble as well. Wonderful. So Nayan Prabhu is suggesting, is Krishna being humble? Krishna is the source of all humility. He didn't have to tell Bhagavad Gita to Arjun anyways. But yet, because Arjun was in a situation out of his causeless humility and mercy, he told Arjun this. So yes, it's correct to say that Krishna is humble and he wants to give credit to those authors and those teachers who actually listened to what Krishna had to say or what service Krishna wanted them to do. One of the reasons we are here is because we don't listen to follow Krishna. I'm not following everything in Bhagavad Gita. I want to, but I'm still on my path. I seek all of your blessings so that we can actually follow what Krishna says to the word, to the dot. That means we will be empowered. And to that degree, the message, the words that we are trying to say, it will pierce the via medium. Okay, so moving on to further shlokas. Now Krishna describes knowledge. He's still describing the body and the causes of the body and the aggregate. The slide that I showed to you, what's the composition of the body, the gross body, 20 elements of the gross body, then the 3 elements of the subtle body, and the last element being the pradhana or mahat tattva. And then Krishna was also explaining the quality of changes in this shloka, which is, happiness, distress, determined state, undetermined state, humble, humility, fear, and all those things. And then, all these are considered in summary to be field of activities and its interactions. So bodily changes, the body grows, maintains and dies. And then the qualities of the body and the composition of the body. So in these first few verses, Krishna has mentioned these. Krishna has also, referred to the great scholars, and Krishna is saying you can actually learn from them in detail about this because this is just 3-4 verses, right? Krishna has not given everything, and Krishna is saying, I'm not going to give you everything here because purpose of Krishna is not to give Sankhya. Purpose of Krishna is to give Bhagavad Gita. Any questions so far before we move further? Now we come to very beautiful topic, which is knowledge. Yes, Sachikumar.
Sometimes, I think it's in the handbook, but the chapters are divided into different sections. So I just wondered, is there a similar breakdown for this chapter?
For this chapter, yes. There is a breakdown for this chapter, yes, because Krishna is basically, thank you for asking that question. So summarizing what this chapter is about, Krishna first describes in this chapter about Arjuna's 6 questions. Krishna starts to give answer about the body, then the knower of the body, that there are the knower, what body is composed of. Then he tells about that actually to know the knower and the body, who knows the body and the body, is called knowledge. Then he describes what the knowledge actually means. What is knowledge and what is vidya and what is avidya. So Krishna says that, and after telling Arjuna about body and knowledge and the knower of the body, then Krishna goes and speaks about Prakriti and Purusha. Because Arjun's first question was Prakritim Purusham Jeva. So Prakriti and Purusha. Then Krishna goes and speaks about, after knowledge, he goes and speaks about what is material nature or Prakriti and what is Purusha or the enjoyer. And then Krishna, after telling about these topics, he takes one level up and he gives further information about the soul. This is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. Soul was mentioned in 2nd chapter. Soul is mentioned again in 13th chapter. And every next chapter, soul is mentioned again and again. Because soul is amazing. Soul is amazing. You all are amazing. No one knows about soul. No one knows about soul. Krishna mentions this also. That he is, no one can know the soul properly. Narad Muni says the same, that it's not possible to understand the transmigration of the soul just by yourself in Bhagavatam. But by studying it analytically, you can understand it. And therefore, to do analytical study, Krishna gives examples again and again. His examples are common minimum viable products. The basic, which everyone can directly relate to. If no one can relate to, he won't give that example. His examples have withstood time. 5,000 years ago, this example have been spoken, and these examples are still valid even today. Until that creation is going to be there, those examples will be valid.
So, back to Prabhupada's point, as it is.
As it is.
All these people that try to interpret and do all this, why need? Because Krishna put it very simply.
Very simply. It has to be presented simply. And if you try to mix it up with a lot of flowery lingo, the modern day world likes to use a lot of flowery lingo,
Psychological mumbo jumbo claptrap.
Mumbo jumbo. Yeah. So just read simply Bhagavad Gita, read it slowly and understand it. Those things you don't understand, underline them, make questions and ask questions and reread and re-repeat. Eat, sleep, repeat, they say. So we can do something similar with Bhagavad Gita. So now Krishna starts to describe knowledge. And this is the most beautiful part of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna begins explaining about knowledge with the word amanitvan.
Just to go to Prabhuji's point.
Yes.
Is it like you've given down the breakdowns, which is, of course, we need to know, but should we know it in terms of from this verse to this verse for this? Is that so necessary or no need? Just get the concept?
It is, in a sense, necessary. If you are studying Bhagavad Gita in your handbook, I don't know how many of you actually open the handbook and see, but if you open the handbook, there is this sections given there, that from this shloka to this shloka, Krishna is mentioning this, from this shloka to this, and I'm also taking you according to that division. The reason it's very important to actually know this division for anyone who is a sincere reader, who wants to actually understand Bhagavad Gita, but not just that, one specifically for one who wants to teach Bhagavad Gita or actually pass on the messages of Bhagavad Gita. For a preacher, it is even more important because the people you are going to meet in future, the Mayavadis, or they don't know that they are Mayavadis, because the general nature of Kali Yuga is no one knows who they are. They are certain flavors, but they don't know their flavors. So when they come and show the flavors, someone who can see, the seer who can see, will know what the flavor of the person coming. Although they will also see that the person themselves, they don't know what background they are coming from. So when, for a preacher, it is even more important, because those people will come and say, oh, Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita that my hands are everywhere, my legs are everywhere, and I exist in every living entity, I'm in everything. So Krishna is actually everywhere, so he's formless. Conclusion, he's formless. And I will take that verse now in a moment. So
people don't know their flavor, where it says it, what it says, and then explain it.
Yeah, because if you don't understand, you may not remember the precise shloka number, but you remember the sequence of it. See, Bhagavatam is much more easy to remember because it's a storyline. If I ask you a story, what happened, you say, yeah, the boy was born. Yeah, the boy did a mistake. Then he was, playing around, fooling around. Then he grew up. You know the story because story is so easy. All the movies that you have seen in the past, you will remember the storyline, right? You'll say, yeah, this happened. The hero died at the end. The villain killed, because you know the story. So it's easy. Bhagavad Gita is not the story. Bhagavad Gita, you can understand and explain much better if you actually know the sequence in which Krishna is saying, and you know the key shlokas. So the shlokas that you all are reading here, Cecily Mataji said she likes reading shloka. I'm really inspired because the sound vibration of the shlokas, it penetrates via medium. I can speak here for 5 million hours. It may not have any impact, but someone who read one shloka and has recited the shloka again and again, the sound vibration that they are emitting is penetrating the via medium across them, all the via medium that they have. That's why it's critically important to, even few shlokas, remember them, recite them, sing them musically. You say, oh Prabhu, I don't know the meters in which the Sanskrit shloka is. Have you ever heard any of the songs ever in your life and you like the tune? Just put the shloka in that tune. Whoever the singer was, doesn't matter. But you have the shloka and you have the emotion behind the shloka and you have the meaning behind the shloka. So if you can follow the emotion, follow the meaning, and remember the Sanskrit and sing it for yourself, for your own benefit every morning, then you will be amazed what kind of magic can happen in your life.
What did you say about the product?
Minimum viable product. Minimum viable product. So that's why Bhagavad Gita examples are important. Okay, coming back to knowledge. How much time we have? Okay, 11:50, 12. We have to finish 1:30, I guess. So I'll speed up. So these are 20.
Sorry, quickly.
Yes, Prabhu.
Sure. Sorry, quickly. I may have to go because I'm in Australia. The time difference is quite big.
Yes, quite big. No problem. Thank you for your association. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thanks.
This is quite a technical chapter, right?
Yes, every single chapter of Bhagavad Gita is the third unit is a technical unit. And for that, you have to have simplicity to understand complexity. If you can only understand complexity by simplicity, complexity cannot be understood by complexity. So now we come to knowledge. This is the third topic Krishna is describing. What is knowledge? And he begins with amanitvam, or humility. Man means pride. Man lila. It's not the lila of pride, but just man. Man means pride, and amanitvam is one without pride. So actually, knowledge begins with amanitvam. One who is not humble cannot understand, cannot get knowledge. They say that water cannot flow from low level to high level. Water always has to flow from high level to low level. So if we remain at low level always, then water can always flow to us and we will be hydrated. We will be green and we'll be happy in our lives. The day when we stop taking knowledge, when we get some man, that's the day we stop getting any knowledge. And who confirms this? Narad Muni confirms this. Narad Muni says that me, Narad Muni, Lord Shiva, Brahma, Agastya Muni, all the Pulastya, Kritu, 4 Kumaras, any of the great personalities you can think of, he says that we are in full knowledge, we have all the education, and we are perfected beings. Yet we don't know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And yet we inquire about him always. So he says that the inquiries should be done by every single person, no matter who they are. The inquiry of the Supreme Lord should be done always. So there, to have an inquiry of the Supreme Lord, you have to have...
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yes, Mataji. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, I just was wondering, like, if a great devotee really knows the personality of God, that personally will have relationship with Krishna, how can he say that he doesn't know him if he really knows him?
Okay. That's because Krishna is unlimited. He is ever expanding. You know, this example is very common. Young boy and a young girl, they get into a relationship, and after a few months and years, the relationship is broken. You know, and the same person that they were madly in love with at one point in time is no longer appealing to them anymore. Why? You know, because the most modern authors, they say the reason they don't know him anymore is because now they know everything about them. So they don't like him anymore. So if you know everything about some person, they say familiarity breeds contempt. So if you become familiar with something, because you have all the knowledge of the person, therefore, what happens is you know all the negatives of the person. And the nature of the mind is the mind focuses more on the negative, less on the positive. If there are 99 good things, if in this white room, if I have one black spot, then your focus and attention will go on that black spot, not on this white room. I will come to that in a moment. Thank you. So that is the nature of the mind in this material nature. This answer Krishna gives. So because of that, you know, we become tired of people. And therefore, when you have Krishna, you can never know completely. It's not possible. Because Krishna is unlimited. He's ever expanding. And so the sadhus, the saintly people, they're always relishing with Krishna. They want to know a little bit more because they want to serve him more. There is this transcendental competition going on between Krishna and his devotees. You know, the necklace of Krishna was like this, and the same necklace Krishna has been wearing for like almost a year. But the same devotee who has bought the same necklace will put the same necklace in the neck of Krishna slightly differently every single time. And Krishna looks even more beautiful in the same necklace all over again. This is the beauty of Krishna. Because he's unlimited, therefore the devotees, they always want to know him a little bit more so that they can serve him a little bit more. Okay. So, does that answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So, amanitvam, humility is the first quality that is needed. Adhambitvam, pridelessness, not being anxious to be famous. If you are anxious to be famous, then you can't learn. Learning happens when there is no agitation. Agitation exists when you want to get something out of it. Agitation will always exist when you want to get something from someone or some situation or some event. Yes.
How can we remember them? Like I go to that 20 qualities.
Yes.
I know that we kind of know it, but at the same time, there are situations in our life that, you know, maybe
you will forget.
Yeah.
But
you know,
very
that we should not be angry, but there might be some circumstances.
Yes.
That we angry.
Yes. So here Vaibhav Prabhu has asked the most serious question a practitioner can ask. Very serious question. The question he is asking is, how can we actually remember these 20 qualities when we are in the situation, when we are actually becoming angry? Then we don't remember these 20 qualities. We are just angry and we want to get the anger out of our body, right? And when we are proud, we don't know that we are proud. So how do we know if just by reading at the time the situation is happening, we don't know this? And your answer has been given by Cicely Mataji. Cicely Mataji said that she likes to learn Sanskrit shlokas. This is an answer to your question. Amanitvam, adhambitvam, ahimsa, shantir, arjavam, acharya. So all these verses you have to remember and recite. The key verses. We are not asking you to remember all the verses. Key verses. Acharya, upasanam, shaucham. Answer is being given. To you, answer is being given. The amount of energy, time you will put in learning shloka, trust me, you will get it 20 times more. by not knowing shloka, you fall into trap of doing something wrong again and again, life after life after life, not one time. Every single life you will fall in the same trap. The only way to come out of this trap is Krishna consciousness. And the way you can become conscious of Krishna is by reciting shloka once in a day in the morning time, if possible. And then singing it throughout the day in your work, whenever you have time. You like to hear these shloka bhajans, of great personalities. Like that, you can sing shlokas. Not all of them, the ones that you like. So what will happen? Prabhu, I remembered the shloka now. I'm singing every day. So now I'm fighting with someone. Will I remember the shloka? Okay, let me answer to you this very important point. Krishna says that I'm seated in everyone's heart. And from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. If you are in a situation where you are getting really angry, and you have spent a lot of time with Krishna before in reciting and memorizing shlokas, then in that moment of time when you are not able to remember Krishna because you don't remember the shloka, you are angry and anger is taking over you. At that time, you are not able to remember Krishna because Krishna doesn't want you to remember him. Do you get it? It's difficult to understand. Let me explain. If you spend time with Krishna, a lot of time with Krishna trying to remember shlokas, you have spent your valuable energy with Krishna. It's like an investment. If you buy a gold for 1,000 pounds, the gold will keep going up slowly. It doesn't, I'm just giving a very bad example, but so gold is a crude example. Investment in Krishna, specifically of time, never lost. It only increases. Over a period of it increases, the investment increases. So if you have spent time with Krishna reciting shlokas, then such a person, Krishna says to them, I give them memory, knowledge and remembrance and forgetfulness. Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo vedantikrit vedavid eva chaham. So he says that actually I am the one who gives anyone the memory, forgetfulness and remembrance also. If you tell Krishna every morning by getting up and reciting shloka, Krishna, I want to remember you, and I'm reciting your shloka and I'm spending time with you so that I can remember you. Then in your time of need, when you actually need Krishna and you can't remember Krishna because the modes of nature, the body, the 24 elements, the mind, intelligence and false ego have overcome you and you are losing the battle, that's where Krishna will come in, and from within the heart, the super soul will push this shloka to your mind. And I'm telling this from my personal experience. He will push the shloka and all of a sudden there comes a shloka to your rescue, and Krishna, and you will remember immediately, oh, Krishna said this. And what am I doing actually? What am I doing actually? This is what Krishna said. A sincere practitioner will then be able to interject in their sequence of actions. But for a lot of the people, they won't be able to interject in their sequence of actions. Why? Because they have not spent time with Krishna. They have not recited shlokas.
Is it same like people say when we chant?
Yes.
So that is we are remembering Krishna.
You are remembering Krishna during the time.
Because we don't know when our death is. So even when we are
Correct.
about to die, we should remember the name of Krishna.
Yes.
But that is just the name. But what we are talking about right now is shloka.
Words of Krishna.
Words of Krishna.
Yeah. Everything is absolute. Now, if I am just saying to you that, okay, Krishna will help you, Krishna will interject at the time, what is the evidence? You are telling that from your personal experience, but I don't know your you may be lying. I could be lying to you, you might be thinking like that. But Krishna says this in 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that I will be their remembrance, memory and forgetfulness. I am their memory, remembrance and forgetfulness. These are Krishna's words. And to evidence it in Bhagavatam, in Gajendra Moksham, when an elephant, which by the name Gajendra, was actually about to die, he was enjoying his life before his moment of fight with a great crocodile. There was a fight between an elephant and a crocodile in a river, and crocodile is catching hold of elephant's feet and is crushing the elephant, killing him. That elephant in his previous life was Maharaj Indradumna. He was a king of a great kingdom, and his joy of his life was reciting shlokas. As a king, he did his devotional service amazingly. He recited shloka all of his life. At the time when he retired, he committed some offense to some great Muni called Agastya. And so he was cursed that, okay, next life you will become an elephant. So now a devotee of Lord who spent all of his life serving the devotees, suddenly he gets cursed. So then you will say that, oh, you told me that investment in Krishna never goes down, it only increases. So how come here he's taken a body of an elephant, from human being to an elephant? How did that happen? So in this case also, when that happened, actually, that was to actually bring him back to Krishna immediately. So in next life, when he actually became elephant, he enjoyed all of his life. And when the crocodile was killing him, suddenly in a flash of a moment, a shloka came to his rescue. That he was reciting not even in this life, in previous lifetime. Because all of his life he spent time reciting and memorizing shlokas. Okay, so I can't stress the importance of shlokas. They pierce the via medium, they stay with you, they are the joy of the heart, they will give you new life. You can sing them in any tune you like, and this way you can constantly relish Krishna. Krishna will be there with you always, at all times, in all moments. He will sit in your consciousness. Every time you do something, he will tell you. Okay, so this is the secret to actually act in this way from Bhagavad Gita, is to actually remember these qualities by memorizing them. So next time, if you want to, you can start reciting this shloka. It's an important shloka of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. I am myself trying to recite this shloka. Therefore, I remembered amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shanti, rajvam. Krishna says humility, pridelessness, and then he wants a person to be non-violent. Why he wants person to be non-violent? These are the first three qualities Krishna is saying. Non-violence. So he says non-violence, ahimsa, shanti, peacefulness. Peacefulness from the distress. Person should be peaceful. And arjamam means simplicity. And if you have these qualities, then you will automatically find a guru. Easily, quickly. Others will also find guru who don't have these qualities, but it will take them some effort and energy, some extra mercy from somewhere. Like a devotee. But someone who is simple in heart, who is always peaceful minded, and they are non-violent, and they are humble, and they have no pride. You will see in this material world also, such a person is relished by everyone else. Everyone wants to invite them to their homes. Everyone wants to be their friend. Even at work, if you are like this type of a person, then they will say, oh, please give him promotion. He's not asking for promotion. Please give him something because he's such a nice person. Because these are the qualities of a saintly people. Okay, so simplicity, arjavam. Then acharya upasanam. If you have these 5 qualities, then acharya upasanam is acharya upasanam means serving a bona fide guru, not an authentic or not a fake guru, someone who is authentic, who is in the line of disciplic succession. I hope you have studied disciplic succession in previous verses. Then there is shocham, which is cleanliness, both internal and external. Prabhupada says internal is by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and external is by keeping the body clean. So taking bath every day. If possible, 3 times a day. If not, 2 times a day. Minimum 1 time a day. Sthairyam is also very important. Steadiness. I remember, and this is possibly experience of a lot of devotees. I know one of the Mataji, she wanted to take initiation. And her Guru Maharaj told her, no, I can't give you initiation because you work in a meat shop, or you work in this sector where you have to, serve meat. And he said to her, you should quit your job. How would she quit her job? She had to pay rent, family and everything. And so, she was not steady in her devotional life because of her job. Because the job involves ugra karma, she will not remain steady. To be in spiritual life, you need some steadiness. As a human being, you need some steadiness internally, and you need some steadiness externally. Internal steadiness is more important than external steadiness. So, sthairyam, atma vinigraha, self-control, rejecting unfavorable things. I'm really weak at self-control. So
sorry, Prabhu, can I ask something? I'm sorry to cut you.
Yes, Mataji.
Can you please speak about you said internal steadiness is more important than external
steadiness.
Can
Yes,
you speak
Mataji.
about that, please?
Yes. So internal steadiness is basically composed of internal unsteadiness. You will understand steadiness when you understand unsteadiness. Internal unsteadiness is composed of flickering mind and acting constantly on your flickering mind. And flickering intelligence. Because the mind is flickering, changing all the time, and you constantly keep acting on the changing mind, therefore your intelligence becomes loosened. It becomes weak. It doesn't have firm determination. And it loses enthusiasm. because constantly the mind is flickering and you have acted on the flickering mind. So that makes you an unsteady, he's a human being. So what is steady human being? A steady human being doesn't mean that the person doesn't have this flickering mind. A steady person also knows that I have got a flickering mind, but the steady person chooses to do steady activities of life, specifically the devotional activities. They will never give up their seva. If they have to come to the temple for pujari at 8:30 a.m. Every Wednesday morning, which is also, they have to go to work, but they will still continue to do their seva with a fixed mind. Doesn't mean that their mind is not troubling them, but they have chosen to do activities with fixed state of mind. Now, this fixed state of mind, Narad Muni says, these are called as Nitya Naimitiki Kriya. Nitya means eternal, that you will always do it. Naimitiki, which means every single day in a system, you will do it. Example, you get up in the morning, do you do anything? Question. What do you do when you get up in the morning first thing? Take bath. You clean your body, right? All the toxicants of the body, you get flushed from your body. You bath, you brush, then you put proper clothes. And devotees, they will go to a small altar. If they have picture, if they have deities, they will worship the deities. Yeah, they'll put up dress, they'll put up tilak. So if someone does this simple activity over a very long period of time, they become steady because they have continued to do Nitya Naimitiki Kriya. Does that answer your question? Unsteady mind, someone who is
Yes,
steady,
Prabhu, thank you.
unsteady mind, but they focus on doing Nitya Naimitiki Kriya. And this will bring them sthairyam.
A useful routine.
Useful devotional routine. Yes. Okay, so we move further. Atma Vinigraha, self-control. Self-control is the most important quality for an aspiring yogi. And, for a lot of the people, they'll say, oh, we don't have self-control. If someone's coming in front of my mouth to eat, I will eat it immediately. So therefore, this is one of the most difficult topics. And in Kali Yuga, it is even more difficult to do self-control. But by mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the great spiritual teachers, we have a process in which we control ourselves. Like if we want to eat food, we are going to eat the most delicious food for the tongue, but we are making sure that it's a vegetarian food. It is cooked properly with good consciousness. That, okay, I want to enjoy this food, but actually I am not the enjoyer. Krishna is the enjoyer. Let me make this food. Let me offer it to Krishna. Let him enjoy the food. Whatever is left is his mercy, and I will then enjoy his mercy. Actually, you enjoy the mercy even more. A child can buy Cadbury's and eat it. But, when a child waits for their mother or father to come back from work and then get a Cadbury, it's something else. They're waiting for it all the time. So likewise, a devotee is waiting for the mercy all the time. And, then we want to release our senses and not control our senses when we are with Krishna, because we want to see Krishna's senses being enjoyed. And that way we will be able to enjoy our senses. Anyone who has a different idea to this actually is in complete illusion. They will not be able to, they will be frustrated, because that's the nature of the material. It results in frustration. Cycle, I think you have read in 2nd chapter, there is a cycle. It results in frustration and anger and a lot of other things. So that is self-control. That self-control is most important. It's the very difficult in Kali Yuga, but it's possible by following a process. And this is again coming to what Narad Muni says, Nitya Naimitiki Kriya. Chant your rounds. If you chant your rounds, chant with steady mind. Don't look on your phones. Do it properly. Close your eyes. Hear the sound vibrate. Do it with some seriousness. So these are Nitya Naimitiki Kriya, which will basically also help you become self-controlled. It will also help you become sthairyam.
The process is what? Yagya.
And the process is the yagya for the Kali Yuga. Our process is basically what Prabhupada gave. Getting up early in the morning, finishing your rounds, worshipping the deities, taking prasadam, and doing that day in and day out over a number of years. Morning program, evening program. Sometimes people say, oh, I don't have time. It's too much complex. Okay, find something that you can do. find something that you can do and stick to it. Stick to it really badly. And if you just do those things properly, with fixated mind, you will see, you will be elevated. You will see the purity in you. You will feel the purity. Okay. So then we move further. Stharyam, Atma Vinigra, Indriya Artheshu Vairagyam. Anyone wants break? We have only hardly covered any first 6 shlokas, and I need to will rush up now soon. So if you don't need break, I would like to continue. Is that okay? Or Sohail, Kush?
Break is good.
Break is good. Okay. Okay. So we'll do a 5-minute break now, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. I'll be here anyways. If you have questions, I'll be here. Those who want to take, just go and be back, please, by 12:20. Yeah, please go. No, they told me just to continue recording here. Oh, thank you so much, bro. Thank you very much. This always helps with the dry throat. Thank you.
One thing upon you're saying this is macro because we're doing the whole chapter in one session. So, and you said one down from there is if you did only one verse all the way through, and you said there's 2 more down.
Oh, yes.
So
when you just do one verse at a time, then you can actually relish it more.
Yeah.
And you might do one verse for a number of days or even months, or you can every day when you sit to read, you can recite the previous day's shloka and then move on to the next. So you always remember what you've read till that day. And it's not important to think like, I must finish all the chapters of Bhagavad Gita and must get all the knowledge that exists in the material world. Krishna is completely summarized in his name, Krishna. So actually, when you actually understand all of this, then one word will come out of your mouth. And that will be the summum bonum of everything, of your existence. So you can read same shloka over and over again, one chapter in a month, one chapter in 3 months, one chapter in 3 months, like that. And the next level goes that you start to relish it. And because you relish it so much, you want to understand how the great acharyas have actually explained it even further. So you try to learn it from all different angles and perspectives, reading different acharyas. And then you go further down and you basically try to understand shloka from transcendental perspective by realizing it constantly, by doing activities in which the shloka comes back to you like a pillar. So your realization is profound at that stage. Till before that, you were studying it, relishing it. and maybe Krishna was helping you give some realizations, but at this level you become your realization becomes perfect. People can have realizations, but then they can forget some realizations, or they can fall down from realizations. But Krishna ensures that if he has given something, he will not let you go down very much. He will pull you back up. And so he can give you more taste by giving you deeper realizations of the same thing. But that, it happens over a period of time for a sincere student, who wants to. And this is how every student should be, every devotee should be. Doing activities, balancing that with studies. So Murli Prabhu does it the best, because he balances so many things and he continues to study. Yeah.
So that means that this becomes the life and soul, and society is built on the back of that, as opposed to we have a society and then we do this sometimes.
Yeah, because actually the society is about living the book. It is about living the life of a devotee. It's about relishing Krishna every single moment. How will you relish Krishna if you don't even remember him or his instructions? So if you have to remember Krishna every single moment to moment of your life, then you have to spend time with Krishna. More the time you spend with Krishna, more time you will have. Everything will finish in time. Everything will happen better. And most importantly, you will have Krishna. You will be Krishnized, and you will become walking Bhagavat. That's the state we want to be.
I got this realization, Prabhu, just to share with you, because I think Hare Krishna was like the number one, and there's nothing else. Then all these other groups have come now.
Yeah.
And internally, I feel that too much we're watering down to become a bit like them as well. I realize that Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is the most sold Bhagavad Gita in the world. So that is one of our main distinguishing things.
Yes.
So if I make the effort to know Gita more, then we don't get mixed in with everything else. I don't get confused. And then people know that, okay, what other things we may agree to disagree, but Bhagavad Gita, these guys know. And have all the scriptures, all the philosophies and ideologies, even nationally. Hindi is the national language, although there's many. And Bhagavad Gita is the accepted book even by the government. So then you don't have debates and arguments. People respect you as an authority. And then you can do them a service of explaining it.
That's it. That's why you have to understand Bhagavad Gita properly. And only study can help you understand Bhagavad Gita. But as I said, spend time. Spending time with Krishna is the most important thing.
So after all this time, the realization has come late because of my own stupidity. Doing so many things. Actually, the cool thing that you do, then the other things can come on top of that.
On top of that.
This, what you're doing, wasting your life.
Because you still get benefit. You are coming to the point of this. If you continue to do everything else, then at some point you will come to this.
So that's what happened after a long time. So you want to bow your head and cry at the same time. That took a long time.
And now you will start enjoying Krishna consciousness. This is the when you come to this point, that's when you actually begin the process of Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma. Your Atma will become Prasanna. It will become happy. The joy of the process will be there. Okay, I think most of us are back. Is the online audience back? Harini Mataji, Kush?
Yes. Can I just ask something? You just said something. Oh.
Yes.
You said we need to spend time with Krishna, but isn't it that whenever we chant or we do service, isn't it like that we are spending time with Krishna all day?
No, you're right. You're right. We're spending time with Krishna. What I meant to say was spending conscious time with Krishna. So when you're doing service in the temple for Krishna, then your struggle should be that while doing this service, am I remembering Krishna? While you are doing DT kitchen, you're cooking something for Krishna. The way Yashoda Mai cooked was, she was singing the pastimes of Krishna from the previous day. If you are doing the same service, then try and remember what Prabhupada said from the book. Try and remember any Bhagavatam that you have read. Try remember the shloka that you have read in the Bhagavad Gita. The battle for a devotee is remembering Krishna. There is no other battle. Prabhupada begins with Bhagavatam with the line that we are forgetful. And that is the summum bonum of the battle of a devotee. Our main purpose is not to be forgetful. The way we will not be forgetful is we are conscious. So while we are doing activities, so this is the difference. If you are doing activities, you are in the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. If you are doing activities with knowledge of Krishna, then you are in the unit 3 of Bhagavad Gita. If you are doing activities with full consciousness of Krishna and loving devotional service of Krishna, you are in the middle portion of Bhagavad Gita. If that explains it. Okay, so we'll begin because now I'm left with very less time, only 1 hour. So I'll not go in lot of depths of every single thing. But if you have question, you will have to stop me. So we read about Stharyam, Atma Vinigraha, self-control, Indriya Artheshu Vairagyam, renunciation of the objects of gratification. It's extremely important to have this quality, is to be renounced. You know, if you have something very valuable as a practice, you can try giving that valuable thing to someone, you know, to the temple or to someone who is actually worth giving that thing. You can always say, oh, there is no one in this material world who is worth giving my most precious thing. But it's not true. There is pastime and example about this, but I'll not go into this. So but this will help you cultivate this renunciation. Krishna also says that those who are not austere, they can't actually get this knowledge. So this morning when I was taking shower, suddenly the hot water was not coming. And I was thinking, I am about to give this session of Bhagavad Gita. I can't take cold water. Then basically I have not understood Bhagavad Gita myself. So I took cold shower. And because without austerity, you cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. Take some austerity by yourself. Even studying Bhagavad Gita regularly, systematically is an austerity. You know, do some service, do it as an austerity. Austerity is that which is pinching. If it is not pinching, that is not an austerity. It's a chore. So austerity has to be pinching. Same goes with the charity. Indriya Artheshu Vairagyam. Then ana ahankara evach. No false ego, no identification with the body. Yes, Prabhuji.
Sahil is wanting to be admitted.
Oh, Sahil, yes. Thank you. Okay, hopefully he's here with us soon. So then anahankara, no false ego. So no identification with the body. People say ego, but ego is good. False ego is not good. Ego means your identity. In general context, ego is negatively connotated in the Western world. So ego, when we speak of ego, people think, oh, it's something negative. No, ego in Sanskrit is not negative. Ego in Sanskrit means our identity, our individuality. But false ego is our false identity when we start to identify with this body. We are not this body, but we start to think that I am this body. I am this, you know, this person with this position and with this power. So when this, because in reality, these positions are going to change immediately. When we grow up, you know, when we grow further, these positions, our face, our nose, our eyes, ears, everything related to body will change. And so we should not become attached to these positions. And becoming attached to the position, becoming attached to the body is called false ego. No false ego. And then perception of evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. This is so important. Krishna is saying that this is knowledge, that if you have knowledge, then you have to understand that you are going to grow old. You will have some diseases. You know, if someone who is in a youthful body, they can't actually understand. I myself till like 29, 30, I didn't understand anything. If they gave me extra services, I said, yeah, fine, I can do it. Because, you know, I wanted to do more services so that I can become a little bit more famous, you know, so that everyone can know me a little bit more. I had no problem because I was strong, stout, and I can do anything, you know. In the youth, you feel that everything is possible. And you get returns. If you do good service, then someone says, oh, Prabhu, very nice. Well done. And they pat your back and it makes you, yeah, you know, I'm a bhakta. I'm a special devotee now. And I'll get initiated and then I'll become the best devotee here in the temple. Everyone is going to come and pay obeisances to me. And, you know, I will be able to give them blessings. This becomes like an aim of someone who is in ignorance. I was one of those persons. So till a few years of your age in the youthful, you don't understand anything because the body is in an automated mode. It is taken charge by the Supreme Lord via super soul. And so you don't know anything. The moment he gives the keys of the body to yourself, everything comes crumbling down. That's when you realize you have false ego, you have mental issues. you have a failing body, you have disease, you will soon grow old. So this vision, to have this knowledge and to have this vision, not just knowledge, to have this vision, is called dukkha doshanu darshanam. Darshan. You should have darshan of this. You should have vision of this, of these four problems of life. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. Asaktir anabhishwangaha putra darya grihadishu. Detachment, freedom from entanglement, wife, children, home, and the rest. Krishna will now be thinking that I am a liar, sitting and speaking here while I have home, children, and wife, and everything, and I am attached to all of them. But someone who is in knowledge, they have to know that none of these things are permanent. They're going to go away at some point in time. They are there for certain time, and then they change again after certain time. A practicing spiritualist has a vision of this. For a practicing spiritualist who has devotional family, like a husband and wife, both are devotees, children are also born in Krishna consciousness, they have a different vision. They have a vision that, okay, these are devotees of the Lord and I have to take care of them also. So they are okay with this, but even they get entrapped by this modes of nature where they start to think that, okay, these people are mine. Even the devotees, even if you have children who are devotees, even if you have wife who are devotees, you have to have this vision that all of this is material body and we have to relate with each other on a spiritual platform. As long as you're relating with each other on a spiritual platform, the relationship will be amazing, blissful. You will be happy in the relationship because in the relationship there is Krishna and Krishna is unlimited. So there is always something new about the other person because we both are relating to each other from the perspective of Krishna, who is unlimited. So every time this element of knowing the other is never reached. You can never know the other person properly because the other person is related to Krishna. If you become contacted by unlimited, what will be your situation? 1 plus infinity, how much is it? Infinity. 1 plus infinity is infinity. So if one, which is an individual soul, tries to connect with infinity, what will happen with that person? Their knowledge will become perfect over a period of time. They will become perfect over a period of time. So one should be detached and they should not be entangled with. Any questions so far? Is anyone sleeping or all of you are awake and happily engaged? Happily engaged. Okay, thank you so much. Yes, question, Sachikumar.
Spirit, 1 plus infinity
is equal to infinity.
plus 1.
No. Infinity means unlimited. If you drop a drop of water in the ocean, then the existence of the drop cannot be known.
Yeah, but if you add 1 to that, then it's the ocean plus 1 drop.
No, it's still the ocean because ocean is unlimited. If you drop a small water in ocean, no one will know that a drop of water was added to the ocean. The volume and the breadth and the width and the size of ocean doesn't change. So 1 plus infinity is always infinity. So single soul plus unlimited Krishna, a single soul has a potential to memorize all of the Bhagavad Gita shlokas, potential to remember and memorize all of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are all having the capacity to become unlimitedly full of memory. But the problem is we don't connect to Krishna to that degree. The degree with which you remember Krishna. See, look at Prabhupada. When Prabhupada is writing Bhagavad Gita, he's quoting Upanishads and Puranas. And the verses flow from his mouth like nothing. Bhagavatam, then he's in X Purana, then he's in Y Purana, Shweta Vastra Upanishad, X Upanishad. It's just, how does Prabhupada know all this? Prabhupada becomes unlimited. Why? Because he is in constant, direct, fully engaged touch of the unlimited, fully connected. So every one of us have to be in that state. Okay, so Asakti, yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Detachment does not mean like to get away from your responsibilities, right? So let's say
Yes.
you have a wife, you have father and
Correct.
mother. So you can't just detach from.
You can't detach with them.
This sense of responsibility.
Correct. You are right. You have to, detachment doesn't mean being irresponsible. That's what Prabhu was asking. Is detachment equal to irresponsible person? No. Detachment means, at least in context of Bhagavad Gita, the specific verse, it means that you have to become internally of the knowledge in this process of knowing that actually I am not this body. And any pleasures that I get through this body is going to go away. They are temporary. If you get a pleasure from your mother because you have been such a nice son all of your life, and you're always every evening talking to your mother, and your mother thinks that, oh, you're such an amazing boy, even that pleasure is going to go at some point in time. Wait till the time you have a wife, and you will no longer have time to speak to your mother. Okay. And then the same mother who was so much into you, telling so many good things about you, now will say, oh, my boy, he's now under the influence of the wife. And the same boy tomorrow will become distasteful for the mother. Happens. I've seen it with my eyes. So everything in the material world to do with the body, and to know that everything with the body is temporary. That doesn't mean that you start hating your mother, you stop calling her up. It means your responsibility is towards her, and you will do that responsibility. But in all circumstances, we as devotees are supposed to put Krishna first, which you will learn further. Thank you. Even-mindedness and amid pleasant and unpleasant events. So if you are even-minded amid unpleasant and pleasant events, then it's not always possible. It's very difficult. It's not always possible to be even-minded in all circumstances. And then there is Maicha Ananya Yogena Bhakti Ravyabhicharini. So constant and unalloyed devotion to me with undeviating attention. This is the 16th quality. And Vivikta Desha Sevitvam, secluded living in a devotee association, basically. You should not try and live with people who are materialists. They will make you materialist, because they always talk material things, more money, more land, more better husband, more better wife, amazing children, new clothes. They are constantly, they never end finishing these topics. And they think life is all about which restaurant did you go? Which place did you eat? Did you had fun during your Christmas? Did you had fun during your Diwali ceremonies? Did you eat turkey in your Christmas? It's just crazy. It's just never ending saga in people's mind. So therefore we should avoid such people. We should not live with them. We should not live with them. We can speak to them. We can be friends with them, but we should not take too much of their association. Detachment from general mass of people, Aratir Jana Samsadi. General mass of people who are materialists, is better to be not so much with them. You can be friends with them, but you should still have a separate private life apart from them.
Can I just say, but all this is really difficult as well, like in
Yeah.
real life.
Yeah.
Because for every people, like not every person is devotee, and then
Correct.
they will have this.
And therefore Bhagavad Gita is not given to them. Knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is given to one who is wanting to know Bhagavad Gita. Those people who don't want to know Bhagavad Gita, they will not know this. And to them, we reach out by doing book distribution. So we go out and give them Bhagavad Gita. Because if they don't get Bhagavad Gita, then they will be in this material life, they will suffer quite a lot. And actually, a lot of these things that Krishna has mentioned, if you think on them with second thoughts, you will find that if you are amongst devotees, if you live with devotees, it's much easier. It's possible, it's easier. And we have relations. I work for an investment bank. I have to see so many people. I have to go to Christmas parties. I have to, go to comedy shows where people are only speaking vulgar comedy. And, you just have to go there because, you have to be with someone so that they don't feel bad and they don't feel that you are out of context. But none of that should impact me. And it will not impact me if I'm constantly reading, if I'm constantly with Krishna, if I'm chanting my rounds properly. So it doesn't mean we become isolated. It just means we become secluded internally. We are not isolated. We are not broken from the society. Is that answer?
Just within.
Yeah, within you keep this detachment. You keep some space with them. You know that their qualities are not good qualities. They're not going to help you in your life. But you want to help them. But if they don't connect with you because you are some weirdo doing Hare Krishna and they will not connect with you, then...
But just say we are constantly communicating with them.
Yes.
And maybe we say something like they're influencing, they're saying something, and
Yes.
we also agree with that. So
Yeah.
we're also agreeing with the wrong stuff. But
Yeah.
But inside I know that I shouldn't say this.
Correct.
I just say it just to be with them.
Yeah, no, that is causing duplicity.
Yeah.
That will cause duplicity. When someone says something and you don't agree with that person, you should not say yes. You should not respond.
Okay.
There is no response because you didn't. If they ask you, what do you think? That's where you open up.
Yeah.
And that's where you said, I don't think this is right. And you should always give proper reasoning why you don't think it is right, based on Bhagavad Gita. Then you will be a happy human being. You will never be happy by making yourself some other person and then some other person. You will remain very peaceful if you remain Bhagavad Gita conscious and you become straight with people, but not in a sense of to be challenging or not in a sense to show them down.
Just don't respond.
You don't have to respond. If some events you have to go, you can go. You know, if they're drinking meat and alcohol, there are team meetings that I have to go, I have to go. I tell them that I only eat sattvic, you know, which is without onion and garlic, and you know, it has to be cooked properly and all those things. And they realize, they respect it. Never in my life that has happened that, you know, they have outcasted me or isolated me because, yeah, if you behave like a weirdo, then you become one. You just have to find art of being with people, and then everyone's okay. Now, these days, I even take out my bead bag in front of them. This confidence comes over a period of time, not immediately. I'm very confident by mercy of the Lord. Yesterday, I took one of my colleagues to Moods, and while we were coming out of the restaurant, she told me, Hari Bol. So I told her, Hari Bol back. And this, my colleague who is a Swedish, he said, what was that? What does Hari Bol mean? And I just told him, you know, Hari means all auspicious. And Bol means, you know, to speak of all auspicious. So we are just greeting each other with all auspiciousness. And he said, oh, that's amazing. So you have to be able to explain things in very simpler terms to people with simple hearts. And you will have a very good life, Krishna conscious life, connected life, not an isolated life. Okay. Okay. So we are really running late. 19th, accepting the importance of self-realization. So self-realization is very important. It's called Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. So, you know, this, out of all of these qualities, the Jnanis, they are always after Tattva Jnana. They want to understand Tattva, how my mind works. In the evening, what it does. In the morning, what it does. Afternoon, what my mind does. They are extremely analytical. They take brahmacharya, not our brahmacharis. I'm speaking of outside institutions. Their whole focus is on their mind and intelligence. And they will only eat fruits, so that they can control their mind. For devotee, we don't fall into this category of becoming, you know, we want Tattva Gyan, we want Adhyatma Gyan. For Adhyatma Gyan, we study every day. For Tattva Gyan, Krishna gives us this Tattva Gyan. You know, Krishna tells us how this material nature is going to act upon you, what is going to, if you do this, this is what your body will give you. If you eat 20 gulab jamuns tonight, tomorrow morning, there is no possibility you will get up early in the morning. So Krishna gives us this knowledge. So Jnanis are very much after this 19th and 20th quality, Adhyatma Jnana and Tattva Jnana. Whereas 16th quality is exclusive to devotees. Because devotees of the Lord do exclusive devotion to the Lord. So then this is all knowledge. Krishna says that these are all the topics of knowledge. You should all remember, memorize this verse completely. And everything else Krishna declares to be in knowledge. So you studied physics, maths, geography, politics, economics, whatever you studied, all of that was not knowledge. That was secondary, and yeah, it was not relevant. Then object of knowledge, Krishna says. So we have first learned body, composition of the body, and the quality of the changes of the body and what changes body goes through. Then we learned about the knower of the body, which is the soul, and also cha api, which means the super soul. So api and cha api, that me and also the super soul. So these both are the knower of the body. And then we learned about knowledge, which is the third thing. Then we are learning about object of the knowledge. So object of knowledge is actually to understand that who is super soul, who is the soul and who is the super soul, who I am, and you know what is the. So here Krishna, after telling all of these things, knowledge, Krishna starts to speak about super soul. And the language Krishna is using to speak about the super soul is so comforting to the Mayavad people. Because look what he says. He says, Nirguna Guna Bhoktra Cha. Krishna says that he is the master of the modes. Nirguna means one who has no qualities. One who has no qualities. What kind of a thing has no qualities? If there is something which has no qualities, that must be formless. That's what they conclude by reading these shlokas. But they don't read one shloka before that, where Krishna is saying that there is soul and there is also cha api me. So now he's telling about super soul. So these super soul are the qualities of a super soul, that everywhere are his hands and legs, everywhere are his eyes, heads and faces, everywhere are his ears, he is all pervading, he is the source of all senses, yet he is devoid of material senses. There are no material senses. And he is unattached, though he is the maintainer of everyone. So Krishna is Nirgun, he is outside and inside. I met someone who is very knowledgeable from Madhva Sampradaya, and he was so fixated with this shloka where Krishna says that I am inside and I am outside, and yet I am very far. Just see how Krishna can play with the words, because everything is his creation. So he says, Krishna, he can't be in the deities, or maybe he is in the deities. He's pondering, he's speculating, he's trying to understand. But because he's not taken shelter of any acharya properly, therefore he cannot understand that, yes, Krishna is very far because Krishna is in his spiritual abode, but Krishna is very near because Krishna is super soul. He is actually everywhere, in everyone's bodies.
We can always counter and defeat, right? We've got ninth chapter saying that fools deride me when I come in my human form.
Yes.
Krishna and his body are non-different. So
Correct.
Boom, have a nice.
Yes, but they have all these other shlokas to counter. So in 12th chapter, which was the chapter you read previously, there was one very conclusive shloka which Arjuna asked Krishna. So Krishna, can you please tell me, can I worship your form or should I worship your impermanent nature? Just tell me clearly. 12th chapter, 5th shloka. So that is also an answer to Mayavadis. So, Krishna, the soul cannot be, he is never divided, super soul is never divided, although he appears to be divided among all beings. He is situated as one. And he is the maintainer of all beings, and he is also the destroyer. Kala Shakti, he destroys by time. Krishna destroys by time. And he is the source of light in all luminous objects. These Brahmavadis, they think that God is like a light. He is everywhere. Because light, when you switch on, it goes everywhere. So these Brahmavadis, they also think that God is like a light. And then he is beyond the darkness of matter. He is knowledge, he is object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. So this is all about super soul, and super soul is situated in everyone's heart. Most important thing is that the super soul and the soul cannot be divided, yet they are everywhere, divided in all living entities. Yes.
Do Gyanis accept the form of the Lord?
Do Gyanis accept the form of the Lord? Yes, they accept the form of the Lord.
As it is.
Yes. Lot of the Gyanis will accept the form of the Lord. The Gyanis, there is this ladder of yoga, right? There is the Karma Yoga, then there is a Jnana Yoga, then there is Dhyana Yoga, then there is Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj explained it most beautifully. He explained that for millions of lifetimes you are doing activities. After you become tired from activities, you say that, okay, I've been doing my karma so much, but I don't see any change. I built this big hospital, I became the biggest billionaire, but I'm not finding that happiness. So then they go after Jnana. They want to get more knowledge. That, okay, maybe I need to learn to know, find out what happiness can be like. Then after getting knowledge, they realize that knowledge is unlimited. After millions of lifetimes, they know that knowledge is unlimited. So, such people you can find in material world. If you tell them something, they want to know everything about that something. After doing knowledge for such long time, they realize knowledge is unlimited. Then they say, okay, let me now focus and meditate on someone who is the source of all of this knowledge. Then they go to dhyana, meditation. And when they start meditation, then they don't know what to meditate upon. From jnana, they know that, okay, maybe I meditate on light, maybe I meditate on form. They actually start to meditate on super soul. That, okay, I don't know what to meditate, where to meditate, let me meditate inside. So they start with the super soul states. So they go to Himalayas and then they do meditation there. And after meditating on super soul for a very long time, some of them, by great mercy of the devotees of the Lord, will get a glimpse of the form of the Supreme Lord. glimpse of the form. Therefore, Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanamante, Gyanvan Man Prapadyate. One who has actually got perfected knowledge of the Supreme Lord can actually know the form of the Lord. And yet, all of us who are here can see the Lord directly as he is in this temple, Radhalandaneshwar. And he is directly Krishna. He can sit in your consciousness and direct you if you actually see him directly.
I think in one of the chapters was written that you don't have to be a yogi.
Yes.
You can just be a devotee.
Simple devotee.
Simple devotee can
achieve the most highest perfection. Krishna says that you don't even have to be a sannyasi.
Yeah.
He says, I equally give my mercy to one who is a grihastha and one who is a sannyasi. Equally. That's a big statement. He says this in 3rd chapter. Okay, so these are all the qualities. And then Krishna says, thus I have described briefly the body, the kshetra, the jnana, and the knowable. Only devotee, this is the most important. This is 19th verse. And Krishna says only devotee can fully understand this. So, not even a jnani can actually understand all of these topics. Only a devotee can understand all of these topics properly, in correct context. And then Krishna goes and describes Purusha and Prakriti. So, Purusha and Prakriti were the first 2 questions of Arjun. Krishna so far has described,
question 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes, is described 3, 4, what is knowledge, and Nayam, the object of knowledge, or the super soul and the soul, they are the object of the knowledge. Next, Krishna is going to describe what is Prakriti and what is Purusha. Okay, so we go to Prakriti and Purusha. So here, Krishna starts to describe Prakriti being the material nature. Karya Karana Kritritve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate. Krishna says Prakriti or material nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects. And Purusha is actually the living entity, or actually the super soul. The living entity is sometimes referred to as Purusha, not every time. The reason living entity is referred to as Purusha, a question to you all, if you stay with an alcoholic, what will you become?
The same.
The same. You will become an alcoholic, right? If you stay with an alcoholic. Similarly, we as an enjoyer, we as a human being, we are trying to enjoy. So at some point in time, this consciousness becomes very strong in us that we are the enjoyers, because for time immemorial, we are trying to enjoy. So if we keep trying to enjoy, we will feel and believe that we are the enjoyers. So what happens is we become partial Purusha, like false Purusha, temporary Purusha. So you have to, someone said to Prabhupada, you are brainwashing our children. And Prabhupada said, yes, that is true. You have put a lot of dust in your children's brain and I'm actually washing them properly. It is true. Because we have this dust there where we think that we are the enjoyers. Constantly we are thinking that we are the enjoyers. I can eat that gulab jamun, I will wear this dress, I will get this university degree, I'll become this CEO of this big company, I'll do this, I'll have money. So we are trying to enjoy always. So we are trying to think like that. But Krishna says that actually you are not the enjoyers, your temporary body is temporary. So therefore you cannot have permanent enjoyment here. And actually you are not even the enjoyers. You are just a partial enjoyer, false enjoyer or a fake enjoyer. So Purusha has 2 connotations. One is the self as a human being. And the second is the Supreme Lord, who is the actual true enjoyer. So Prakriti also has 2 meanings. Prakriti means material nature, and to material nature in English vocabulary we call mother nature. We have associated feminineness with material nature and we call it mother nature. So similarly, Prabhupada mentions, Krishna mentions that Prakriti also means a woman. And in reality, and this can be a very tough statement and generally no speaker wants to use this statement, but I'm taking a chance, and generally we are all Prakriti, we are all women, because the only man is Krishna, because we are material nature and there is only one enjoyer, which is Krishna.
You start recording for this one.
I thought I never stopped recording. Is it recording? I hope.
I like that point that you made, the false enjoyer.
False enjoyer, yes. I think I don't know if it's recording or not. I'm definitely screen sharing. I don't know if it's recording or not. Yeah, it's recording. It says stop video. Okay. So Prakriti and Purusha. Now, how does Purusha or false enjoyer get entrapped in Prakriti? That is what Krishna is explaining in next verses. The living body situated in the material is the living entity situated in the material nature, that we are situated in this material body and in this material nature, thinks he is enjoying the three modes. So Krishna is introducing the concepts of three modes of material nature here. That there are three modes, and the living entity, the Purusha, wants to enjoy the matter. And the living entity, the Purusha, that wants to enjoy the matter, it gets entrapped in these three modes of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva, mode of goodness. Rajas, passion. And Tamas, which means ignorance. And this is due to the association with the three modes of material nature. We get entrapped and we are under false conception. Sat asad yonishu janmashu. Thus he meets with good and evil in various species. Because we are entrapped in these three modes of nature, we are being acted upon. And we get stuck in these material modes of nature. So I want to quickly take one verse, which is 23rd verse. So if you all go to verse 23. Oops. Here, Krishna is mentioning again, just coming back to the previous verse, Upadrashta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatmeti cha api ukto Dehe Asmin Purusha Para. Krishna is mentioning about himself. This is also one of the most important shlokas which I forgot to mention. So I'm coming back to it. We should memorize this verse. It's a beautiful verse. It's so beautiful. I'll explain you why it is beautiful. How many of you have heard the word darshan? Darshan. You have heard the word darshan, right? Darshan means to actually to see something. So drishta means the seer. So someone is seeing and someone is the seer. So upadrashta means someone who is to be seen. So someone who is the seer. Oh, apologies. So Krishna is saying that I am upadrishta. Upa means bigger or first. Like Upananda, Nanda Upananda. Nanda Maharaj was the name of father, Krishna's father. Upananda was Krishna's father's elder brother. So someone who is above or bigger, the word Upa is used. So Krishna says, I am Upadrishta, which means I am actually the seer. I am seeing everything. We guys are not seeing things. Krishna is seeing everything. This verse is so beautiful. Then he says, Anumantacha. Anuman means to gauge. Anuman means to gauge. There are three methods of learning knowledge. Anuman, Sakshat, and Anuman, Pratyaksha, and there is one more I forgot. Some perception, by experience, and by measurement, by gauging something. So Anuman means by gauging. So Krishna says, I am Anumanta, which means that I am actually the permitter. I actually permit. You all think that you are doing the activities. No, you forgot. Maybe it will come in some time. Krishna willing. So Anumanta means one who is the permitter. So you all think that I'm doing the activities. Actually, you're not doing the activities. There is someone who is permitting the activities. And common example is if you are, wanting in a hospital, wanting to take food and you are so sick, not even one drop of food goes in your mouth because the body just rejects it. As soon as it forcefully put in your mouth, you throw up. Because when the body doesn't want to take, you can't take it. When Krishna doesn't permit, you can't have it. Then someone will say, oh, why is Krishna permitting all my bad activities? Yeah. Correct? Why my bad activities are permitted? And the answer is on two portions. The first answer is Krishna says that I am the seer. First verse is I'm upadrishta. I'm seeing it. You're doing this bad activity. Doesn't mean it goes unnoticed. I'm seeing it. But then Krishna says I'm also permitting it. Why is Krishna permitting it? Because it's your desire. Krishna is very kind. Krishna wants to fulfill your desires. But then you say, oh, why is God permitting my bad desires? Then he cannot be God. Well, if God started to stop everything, all of your desires, then he is not a God. He is like a dictator. He is like a punisher. That you have in most of the religions, specifically Islam and other religions. You know, God will punish you. Christianity, God will punish you. God will punish you. Yes, in Hare Krishna is also God doesn't intervene in this punishment directly. God doesn't intervene in punishment. It is through agency of external material energy.
It's like I will learn from it. Like that bad karma will come back to me and I will learn.
And you will learn from, but God doesn't personally involve himself in that. It is action and reaction cycle. You work hard, you make money, you put the bank balance. From the bank balance, you eat ice creams, you go to movies, you eat theater, you make money, you make baby, you make children, all because you made the bank balance. For that, you have to work very hard. So your action has resulted in many reactions. Where is God in this? There is no God in here. Basically, you are doing certain activity. God is overseer and permitter in these. If he wants to stop certain of these activities, he'll stop it. Like, for example, many young children are looking for wife, they can never find it. And they are always remaining alone. You know, there are many reasons for it, unlimited reasons, but I'm just giving an example. Someone wants to eat like ice cream 20 times, but they can't eat it after 2 ice creams. They say, hey, Prabhu, I'm full. I need to go bathroom now.
So witness and sanction.
Krishna is the witness and he's the sanctioner. But I don't want to use the word witness and sanctioner. I want to use the word upadrashta and anumanta. Upadrashta. Drashta comes from darshan. Someone is seeing my activities. Just as I'm taking darshan of Krishna, Krishna is also constantly seeing me.
CCTV is on.
Is on. CCTV is on. And then anumanta, which means of everyone's, you know, Krishna is permitting your activities. Krishna also doesn't want to intervene in your activities, but he permits your activities that because if you don't get the experience, then you don't know what is good and what is bad. Sometimes you get bad experience, then you realize this is not good experience. I don't want to be doing this. And
sometimes also happens that something with Krishna where you're like, okay, I was not supposed to do it and he stopped me from doing it.
Stopped me from doing it. Yeah, he can do that, and he can do that with every single bad action of yours, which is like 99% of our actions of the day. He can, you know, imagine if you do something wrong and someone comes and slaps you. Do you like it? Every single moment you do something, he comes and slaps you. Would you like it? If I was a teacher of my son and my son, he's very naughty. He just, I brought a yogurt, very expensive one. I thought, you know, they will make something special. He took a big water bottle and he threw it on the yogurt bottle and the yogurt was spilling in the whole room. No one got to eat that yogurt, not even Krishna. So every time a naughty child does some mistake, if the parents keep slapping him, the child is not going to have fun. The experience will not grow. You have to grow as a human being, and therefore Krishna lets you do certain things, because by continuing to do certain things, you will come to this understanding in this long evolution of, this is called evolution of soul, that, you know, whatever I did was wrong, this is right. Now, better than this right is this right. Better than this right is this right. This is not the topmost. Let me take to higher truth. Eventually, you will end up with the best truth, which is the holy name of Krishna. All the shlokas, everything Krishna says. So you have to go through this experience. I'm telling you, but that doesn't mean anything. Right? But it can mean to you everything if you are a very serious and sincere student. A serious and sincere student will not want to experience it. They hear it once and they know that it is a bad thing to experience, because I've heard from someone it is a bad thing to experience. And there are many personalities in Srimad Bhagavatam who come to this conclusion. Yayati Maharaj is one such a great personality who enjoyed thousands of years with sex life, and then he came to a conclusion that actually these desires will never fulfill. It's impossible to fulfill these desires. It's like a petrol. I'm using his words. Krishna has used the same words here in Bhagavad Gita in chapters. It's like igniting fire. And Yayati uses the same words. That no one can reduce the fire by throwing butter on it. It's not possible. And so Yayati Maharaj says that anyone who has got unfulfilled desires, sharma kamo dhutam tyajet. If you have sharma kama, if you have any desires which is still left over in your heart, best is to throw it up, not just get rid of it. Pray to the Lord to get rid of it. Sharma kamo drutam tyajet. Throw it up. But for a lot of people who are not able to throw because they have not come to spiritual evolution, then they have to go through it. That's the third category of the student who has to go through the whole thing to actually understand that actually it was not the best. If that answers your question. That's why Krishna permits it. Okay, any more questions online? I don't see Sohil Prabhu. I don't know if he's here online.
I'm here, Prabhu, don't worry.
Oh, you're here. Sorry, my apologies. You're all alive, awake. Okay, super. So then Krishna, after mentioning this, that I am the seer, the permitter, and one who knows me is actually as the super soul actually sees. He says it in further verses that to know the Lord and to actually know this knowledge that super soul is in every living entity and he is actually the seer. That is actually knowledge. And such a person who knows this fundamental fact, that person actually sees. Then, yes. Upamanta, Anumanta. Upadrishta cha, Anumanta cha. Krishna says cha again and again. That yes, I am. Upadrishta cha, I am. Anumanta cha. The words have been coalesced. If you read the shloka by breaking the words, you will see Krishna is amazing. One who understands this philosophy, so Krishna is giving this benediction now. So all of you who have been attentive here and have attended this session, you have this benediction that Krishna is directly giving to you. And he's saying one who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, that there is this prakriti and the nature, the living entity and the interaction of the modes of material nature is sure to attain liberation. If you understand it properly, he will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Wow. What a benediction. You will be even further shocked to know that Narad Muni gave exactly the same benediction in the pastime of Prachini Bharishad, in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That anyone who actually ponders on these topics, that's why it's important to know material nature. That's why it's important to know working senses, the knowledge acquiring senses, what is mind, what is intelligence, what is false ego, what is Paramatma, Atma, and how, people confuse between Atma and Paramatma. And be able to challenge people back when they say, oh, you are Krishna. It's very common, specifically if you go to India, they say, Atma Paramatma mein vileen ho jayega. The Atma will merge into Paramatma. Atma never merges into Paramatma. It's just not possible. Because Krishna is saying it directly himself here. Then Krishna is, of course, is mentioning about Purusha, Prakriti, and
is this the Mahatma? Does every single chapter have a Mahatma verse?
Yes, Mahatma, yes.
Is this the one?
No, Mahatma has even further benedictions than this. These benedictions are directly, Krishna has given this benediction for anyone who is attentively listening, pondering, assimilating this knowledge, chewing it, sleeping over it, and living by this knowledge. This is Mahatmai, which is given by Shivji, Lord Shiva to Mother Parvati.
I think Prabhu is saying what somebody was saying that each chapter has a key verse.
Oh, yeah. The summary of the whole chapter.
Mahavakya, yeah.
Yeah. That is different to, I think, his question. What
was your question?
Both, actually.
Yeah, okay. So his question was, is this the Mahatma or the benediction for the whole chapter? Is this verse that we just saw is the benediction for the whole chapter? And I'm saying that this is the benediction Krishna directly gave to someone who was not sleeping. Someone who actually heard properly. And beyond this benediction, there is more benediction which Lord Shiva has told Mother Parvati. Krishna can say one word and that can become millions of trillions of words, which is what Srimad Bhagavatam is, because we can't understand one word properly. So there is deeper benedictions than just what Krishna is giving of reading 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
You said that Atma cannot merge into
Paramatma. That never happens because Atma, yes, okay. We're coming to that now. Good question. So Prabhu said, if Atma cannot merge into Paramatma, if the soul cannot merge into super soul, then what happens to the soul? What is the climax? What is the climax for the soul? When the movie finishes, what is going to happen with the soul? Is that your question? Right. Okay. We'll come to that now. Some perceive the super soul. Krishna continues to explain about super soul in these verses, which I think we have already undergone. And there is no, although not converse, begin to worship Supreme Person. Yeah. O chief, know that whatever you see in existence, both moving is only the combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. So everything in the material world is alive and living. All of the is basically field and the knower of the field. One who sees super soul accompanying the individual souls in all bodies. This is also an important verse. Samha sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatso avinashyantam yah pashyati sa pashyati. Pashyati. This word, if you remember now, you will thank me again and again. Pashyati means to see. In many times you will come across this word in Bhagavad Gita. Pashyati. Pashyati means to see, and it will make your reciting of the shlokas very easy. Sarveshu is another word. Sarva means all. Bhuteshu means all living entities. So these are common words. The more you make your vocabulary of common words, the more easier for you to remember shlokas. Samam means equality.
This pashyati is different to upadrishta before, right?
Same thing or activity can be described by many, many words in Sanskrit.
I thought it might just have a different
Inclination. There are degrees of, just as there are past tense and present tense and future tense. So same word can be said slightly differently. Like drashta, like vidhi, comes from with comes from vidya, but vidhi means to actually know. But with means knowledge, which also means to know. So the root is the same, and then there is grammar imposed on it. And then sometimes the root changes into many words. So pashyati means to actually see. Pashyam, pashyam pashyati, pashyitaha, like that.
I'm trying to understand from my small mind, is it interchangeable, or sometimes it means the same, but there's different words being used for a specific reason?
The different words will be used based on the context. What context you want to see. Here, Krishna wants to say this 9. Prabhupada wants to use this word, actually sees. Sees, actually sees. Yah pashyati sa pashyati. Repeat, there is a repetition of the word. That one who sees super soul accompanying the individual souls in all bodies and who understands that neither the soul nor super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Yeah, so when you see like this, then you are actually in knowledge, and then you will become equal. Samaha, samam, equally. It's very important to know this word samam or samataha. Same word sam has got many variations. Sam, samataha, samam, like that. So the person actually sees. And this word sama is repeated again and again in Bhagavatam. Amrish Maharaj pastime, Prithu Maharaj pastime. Any great pastime you see, Krishna says with his own mouth again and again. Like Krishna directly saying it again and again. He uses the Narsingadev when he comes. He describes that any person, any saint who is samam, who is equal to everyone. Every time there are qualities of sadhus are mentioned. You know, when Krishna uses the word sadhu or saint anywhere, then Krishna starts by mentioning their qualities. There is no sadhu without a quality. Samadarshana. If you are describing some saintly person, you have to describe their qualities. And every time Krishna starts to describe qualities, the first thing Krishna says is samam. That some people have to see equally. So if we have to become saints, then we have to develop this vision of seeing people equally. Not being able to, not distinguishing, not discriminating against them. But, according to their positions in the society, you still have to deal with them in slightly different fashion. But you have to see them internally equally, that they are also part and parcels of the Supreme Lord. 29th verse. One who sees super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. So these are the effects. Now, Krishna explained the Prakriti And Krishna explained Purusha, that I am, the individual soul is a fake Purusha, and super soul is actually the real Purusha. And Purusha gets entrapped in Prakriti, and gets caught in the Prakriti according to the three modes of material nature. Then Krishna, after giving this knowledge, he takes one step higher and he actually tells that Arjun may ask a question that, okay, if a soul is entrapped in Prakriti, if Atma gets entrapped in Prakriti, if soul is entrapped in this material nature, then if any activity I'm doing in this material nature, then soul is doing the activity, right? Is that a correct conclusion, all of you online? If soul is in the material nature, and then if that person does any activity, then that activity is done by the soul, correct?
No.
No?
All activities are being carried out by the three modes of material nature. Is that correct?
Okay, wonderful. No, thank you. That was a very good answer. All activities are carried by three modes of material nature. Anyone else has a different answer?
All activities are done by the body, not by
All activities are done by the body, not by the soul. Any different answer to this? I'm seeking for just one more answer.
Isn't it that the mind is the one that's wanting to do stuff?
Mind the gap between us and the Supreme Lord. Mind the gap. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Yes, okay. Anything else? So are we doing activities? Is soul doing the activities? Now soul, if you take my body, my soul is entrapped in this body. Now I'm giving this Bhagavad Gita session to you all. Who is doing the activity here? Isn't my soul doing the activity? Or is it my body, mind, or my 24 elements which I'm composed of? The mind, intelligence, and false ego. The Mahat Tattva. Is those things are doing the activity, or is my soul doing the activity? Both?
Atma is mind, body, and intelligence.
Atma is not mind, body. Atma in Sanskrit has 8 different meanings, but the most fundamental root meaning of Atma is the soul. Yeah.
Greater meaning.
This is the greatest meaning, and after that, Atma could mean mind. Atma could also mean intelligence. Atma could also mean like bodies. But right now, the person giving session to you, is that person's body giving the session to you, or is the soul giving the session to you, or is it both?
soul with the help of body.
Soul with the help of body.
Soul through the agency of the body.
Soul through the agency of the body. But here, Prabhu just told me, Brandon Prabhu just told me that all the activities are carried by 3 modes of material nature.
He's right.
He is also right. So basically, the body is doing the activity.
If there's no soul, there's no class.
If there, the Prabhu said, if there is no soul, there is no class.
Need some soul.
That's very good point.
But I think according to 3 modes of nature, like I think you're passionate, that's why you're able to deliver from your soul. Mode of goodness, that is sattva again.
Okay.
So I would say these 2 categories are
so body and soul.
You to, yeah.
Okay.
Not
so
comes up like in Bhagavad Gita, we're thinking, willing, feeling.
Yes.
And then the 3 modes of material nature are carrying out the activity.
3 modes of material nature are carrying out that, and we are thinking, feeling, and willing. Okay. Brandon Prabhu, you want to change your answer, or you stick with your answer that all the activities are carried out by 3 modes of material nature?
Yeah, I'm a bit confused now.
Sorry. Sohail and Kush and Anishwar Prabhu, who's carrying out this activity at this point?
Would the desire be coming from the soul?
Desire coming from the soul, beautiful.
So the desire coming from the soul, but then the action is done through the 3 modes of material nature.
Okay. Carried out by the 3 modes of material, but the desire coming from the soul. Wonderful.
Yeah, desire is thinking, willing, feeling.
Desire is thinking, willing, and feeling. Okay. Yes. Wonderful. Okay. Kush, you have any answer?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Similar to Sohu, actually. So with manifestation, I think if we have a desire, it's in our like karmic balance, and Krishna will sanction it.
Okay.
Sort of links to that, in my opinion.
So everything, you have linked everything. Basically, Krishna is permitting the activities. He's the seer, and I have the desire, and based on my karmic balance, I'm able to do activities which three modes of material nature are carrying out. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And Anishwar Prabhu, any realizations?
Yeah, I agree with this last you described, but the deliverer, the ultimate deliverer is the supreme Godhead, but through the energies like material nature and also these
Yes.
three guns. But the ultimate deliverer is the Godhead himself.
Okay. So I've heard all spectrum of answers. I have got all spectrum from everyone. So now let me tell what Bhagavad Gita says. So Bhagavad Gita says that none of the activities are carried out by soul. Okay. The soul can desire. So whoever says thinking, willing, feeling, desires. So soul, basically, there are something called as, when you are in this body, through your mind and intelligence, you can have thinking, feeling, and willing, which will result you to desire. Like I want iPhone 20, example. That's a desire that came out because you started to see, explore outside, and you have a thinking, willing, and feeling. Now, to the degree and extent that you desire this iPhone 20, like you have made whole center of your life is getting iPhone 20. You are working your everything out just to get this iPhone 20. Your existence is about iPhone 20. Then this intense desire will result in something called as samskar. Samskar meaning impression. Strong desires which were moving, which basically moved you completely, will result in samskars. Samskaras or impressions, they are captured inside the soul. Your karma is captured inside the soul. Your samskaras are captured inside the soul. And example of this samskaras is this Ajamil story. When Ajamil saw this prostitute and some man enjoying, his samskaras, which he had in his previous lives, it came up, it threw up, because they were all inside he desired this activity, so it came up from his soul.
Samskars or anarthas?
Anarthas. But because those were anarthas and he wanted those anarthas, if you constantly meditate and ponder on some anartha, they become impressions.
So it's a deeper version.
It's a deeper version. It's like taking an iron hand and taking a normal hand, putting it inside a clay. You see the shape in the clay, that is called an impression of your hand. So and you press it against the clay. So if you have something strong desire and you press it again and again against your consciousness, because desires are impacted by the consciousness, then they go into your soul, because consciousness is a symptom of the soul. It's an agency or it's a reflection of the soul. If in your aware state, if you are impressing and putting impressions on your consciousness constantly, that gets percolated into your soul. So soul captures these impressions. And so any of the activities that a material body is doing, actually soul is not related with it. But some of you are right that if you have spiritual activity, if you have spiritual desires, and if you have spiritual activity, then soul is always connected to Krishna. And for spiritual activity is the only category when you can say that your soul is actually doing it. Because soul's essence is spiritual. Soul is spiritual. So anything spiritual that you do, your soul is doing.
All activities are material unless the intention is spiritual.
Yes. And unless their intention is, unless you have a desire to do a spiritual activity. So even if you are unknowingly doing an activity which is related to spiritual life, Prabhupada gave this classic example of Mike. Those activities, they are conducted by audience of the soul and in the direction, sanction of the super soul. Otherwise, and of course, these activities which are spiritual activities, they will use the agency of the material energy, which means your hand will move. But you will be shocked to know that even with you desiring, even with the soul desiring, the activities of material nature are carried out anyways. Someone said, oh, I became late to work because I was having a booze at night. So they think that they were boozing. They think that they were taking a pint. They were thinking that they were doing these activities. Actually, they have got a body which will force them. Like Prabhu said, 3 modes of material forcing. They've got a body and they have cultivated a mind, which mind will trouble them. Okay, this is the time I need to booze. These are the addicts. Or this is the time, now it's my time to have sense gratification. These are, this is the situation. So they have cultivated the mind, which means they have put repeated impressions on the mind and the consciousness. So the samskaras have gone into their chetna, which means their consciousness, and from chetna to atma. So that is becoming their essence. So it's very dangerous. So 3 modes of activities. Yes, they carry out the all the activities which are material. If you become late somewhere, you think it's because of me. Yes, it's because of you, but no, it's not because of you. It's because you've got this body. Okay.
First understand the cause before we go to the
Yes. So this body is causing you problems. Someone's thinking that I'm smart, young, tall, handsome, or I'm rich, I'm born in this family. These are all the conditions, but these are all problems actually. Yes, Mataji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, I was just wondering, when you're saying for spiritual activities, the soul is doing the activity.
Yes.
But doesn't it mean that the Devan Prakriti is doing it, but facilitating the soul's desire still? Because even if I'm doing a spiritual activity, I mean, I don't know how I'm doing it, like how the body's doing it. The inspiration isn't even Krishna's giving me the inspiration to do it. And just the other thing I was wondering is, so we might have all these samskars, like deep samskars for material enjoyment, but how do we end that? Because it's such deep impressions.
Yes.
How can we end that cycle?
Wonderful question. I think that's exactly the question Vaibhav Prabhu also asked, that how can we end this cycle? There are samskaras and there are impressions. So you are right in first part of your question, that actually even when the soul desires something, pure activity related to Krishna, then even then you need agency of the Maya or agency of material nature to carry out those activities. And when you don't desire spiritual, then also the material nature are carrying out the mode of activities. So in mathematical logic, if something is an end conclusion from all paths, then you conclude that that thing is actually the source. So therefore it's concluded that in reality, material modes are carrying out all the activities, like what you answered in the very first instance. So, yes, material modes are carrying out all those activities. Soul is sleeping most of the sometimes soul awakes whenever you are in Krishna consciousness, whenever you are doing spiritual activities. And the problem of these impressions is very big and deep. How do you solve that problem of impressions?
The other point is that if a materialist looks at a devotee, he's thinking, well, he's just doing what I do.
What I do.
But the intention is different.
Correct. Prabhuji is mentioning if a materialist and a devotee are doing exactly the same, then the materialist can't understand that devotees are doing something special. Even though the activity physically is exactly the same, but internally devotee is on a different platform. I am writing a software, someone else is writing a software. To a manager, we both are equal. But my manager is not just the manager, that human manager. My manager is Prabhupada, Supreme Lord. So internally, my consciousness is different. Similarly for all of you. So how do you get rid of these impressions, which are basically coming from Chetana going into soul? An answer is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, again in the instance of Prachini Bharishat, in 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that we cannot take out these impressions. It's not possible for us to take out these impressions. But someone who is constantly in loving devotional service to the Lord, and someone who is constantly praying to the Lord, they can actually see their desires. I'm not saying they will be able to take away that. I'm saying they can see their desires. And because they can see, the devotees of the Lord will have capacity to interject this vision. When this desire actually comes and pops in your heart, the devotees will be able to see and interject these desires. But sorry to say, devotees may not be able to overcome it completely. And there, Narad Muni mentions, it is said that by mercy, causeless mercy of Krishna, There will be one moment in time. Prabhupada says that at one moment in time, the person will see everything. That person will see all their desires, like it will be naked in front of you and you will be shocked and you will be at some, Prabhupada just uses the word at one point in time. An advanced devotee will see all their desires. And to see the desire is actually to know the desire. You know, if you're able to see something, then you know that thing because you are seeing that thing. Otherwise, yeah, it takes time. It makes spiritual evolvement. So evolution of spirit basically means that they will be able to interject and see these samskaras. They will be able to interject. They might not be able to do something about it. But if they continue to do loving devotional service and pray to the Supreme Lord, then at the time of death, it's these samskaras which result in transmigration of the soul. The root cause of transmigration of the soul is these samskaras, these impressions.
Without getting too technical, is it directly in the soul or is it close in the soul?
It's in the soul. No, it resides in the soul.
Actually, can I ask? I thought just Satchitananda.
Soul is composed of Satchitananda, but you know, that tells you the composition of the soul. It doesn't tell you, you know, what all things can reside in the soul when it's in the material nature. Material nature, the composition still remains the same, but soul also carries with it samskaras, the karma. Where does karma go? If you're doing karma in this lifetime, no, false ego is there with when the soul enters the material nature. But then along with the false identity, you get karma. In every lifetime, you are accumulating your bank balance. Then who is keeping this bank balance? It's the soul. Your karma is with the soul, your desires. That he also knows. Dual copy. So soul is keeping this and soul is also keeping the desires and the impressions. And this is the root cause of you going from one body to another body, because Prachini Bharishat asked the question that in this life I was looking like this and in this life I'm a woman, before I was a man, then how do I know that actually it is the same me who has gone from this point to this point? Because bodies are different. How do you conclude that I have moved from this body to this? Then Narad Muni explains this science in detail, which Krishna mentions in this chapter in detail, that actually it's the soul that moves from one body to another. The subtle moves, the gross is changing, but the subtle remains the same. Vikari is the shabd, vikari, which we just read before. Sanskrit word is vikari. Vikari means transforming. The gross is vikari. The soul is avikari. The soul is not changing.
Is it the 12th as well? Krishna uses that example like in the ocean.
Yes.
And then he can pull you out.
Yes, he gives an example like that. In the purport, Prabhupada gives that. Yes.
I know that we don't have.
Yes, we are almost out of time, but if you all want, I can give some more time if unless you are all late or you want to go. I can do it for 5-10 more minutes. I just have few more shlokas. What is your question?
I will answer later.
Okay. So Krishna thus has explained everything in this chapter, 13th chapter, the body, the composition of body, the changes the body goes through, and also, you know, the qualities of the body. Then he goes on to explain the knowledge and the knower of the body, the knower of the body. What is knowledge? Then Krishna describes Prakriti or the modes of nature, that how Prakriti is entrapping this Purusha or the enjoyer of the body, which is, you know, us being the secondary Purusha and Krishna being the primary Purusha. And Krishna explains that this actual Purusha is the super soul, and the qualities of the super soul Krishna gives, that he has hands, legs everywhere. He is actually the maintainer of everything. He is the destroyer. He is actually the doer. And those people who see him equally undivided in everyone's bodies actually see. They are actually, and Krishna requests that such people are equal in nature. If you see them in every bodies. And then Krishna goes a level higher, and Arjun might ask a question that, okay, then who is doing the activity that I'm doing in the body? If the soul is completely aloof and soul is pure, then who is doing the activity? And Krishna says, actually, it's all the three modes of nature. They're carrying out these activities. But any spiritual activity out of a desire of the soul is actually carried out by the soul with the agency of the Maya again. So some summum bonum, that yes, through the agency of material nature, the activities of the body are going on. And then Krishna also gives benediction. What is the benediction of actually knowing or reading this chapter thoroughly, pondering on it, meditating and assimilating it? is you have opportunity to be liberated. This is the same benediction you get in 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the story of Puranjay. And I will just quickly mention this verse. Ceases to see different identities due to different bodies and sees how are expanded everywhere. He attains to Brahman conception. Those with vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental. I am reading verse 32. And beyond the modes of nature. Soul is beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjun, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. So this is where Arjun will ask question, okay, then who is doing the activity? So soul never gets entangled basically. Soul never does anything which is material. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervaded. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, although situated in that body. So this is another point. And then, O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. So if we are unconscious, then doesn't mean the soul has gone. It just means that we are unconscious at point in time. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in the material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Supreme goal being liberation, or actually the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Sorry, just a quick question. I was wondering how, if the soul is pure, Satchitananda, how could it contain something material like samskaras and material desires?
Yes. Okay, that's again a question I think which Nayan Prabhu also asked, and I think Brandon Prabhu is reinforcing the point that his point is, if the soul is actually completely pure and it's unentangled, how can it have any impurities? Because the soul by its nature composition is pure. Is that correct question, Prabhu?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So soul in its true state is, yes, it is true that soul is completely pure. It is untouched by material modes of nature, by material things. But when the same soul enters in the material realms through the agency of Mahat Tattva, then the conception of false ego comes. And soul is under the influence. In reality, it is not, but it is under the influence of Mahat Tattva and false ego. And what happens is, under this same situation, because it's now under false impressions, then it will continue to act in this false impression under false ego, and because of that there is this karma which will get accumulated, and there will be these impressions and desires which will get accumulated. When soul has a pure composition, Satchit and Ananda in spiritual world, it doesn't mean that the soul doesn't have desires. In spiritual world also, you will see that there are desires the soul has. The soul wants to serve a Lord in a specific flavor. That's a desire of the soul. Also, the soul has pure spiritual identity in the spiritual world. Only thing which is not there in the spiritual world, which is karma. And so everything becomes lila, not action and reaction. Everything is a natural outcome. So in spiritual world, there are desires. In material world, those desires become corrupted, and those desires are for the self enjoyment, but the desires are still there by the soul. In material world, in spiritual world also there is intelligence. It is called spiritual intelligence. But in material world, that becomes material intelligence. As soon as the soul enters this Mahat Tattva, this intelligence gets corrupted. It's the corruption of the disc, basically. You know, it's a corrupted disc. And similarly, there is no karma in the spiritual world, but because now activities are there in the spiritual world, but those activities don't result in any karma. No action and reaction there. Similarly, when the soul enters the material nature, there are activities, but now there is this bank balance of activities. So composition of the soul doesn't change. Does soul become impure in material world? No, because its composition still remains intact. But there are additional properties of the soul. And additional properties of the soul being, you know, it's like a chemical, like say oxygen. The composition of oxygen, if you ask me what's the composition of oxygen, I'll tell you O2 is basically one neutron and two electrons revolving around the neutron. That's the composition of oxygen. Now, oxygen, when it enters water, it it has now properties of being liquid, and it has these anomalous properties that at certain temperature it will become ice. So the properties of the same oxygen, when in combination with hydrogen, it changes. Does that mean the composition of oxygen has changed? No. Does that mean the properties of oxygen has changed? Yes, slightly, because now oxygen is in contact with hydrogen, and in this contact, it is behaving like a liquid in this atmosphere at this temperature. So similarly, the composition of the soul is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. That is never going to change. Its composition is purity. That is never going to change. But now in association with the matter, the properties of the soul are different. If I take away from oxygen, instead of keeping it two electrons, I make it one electron by force, by doing this bombardment with photons, bombardment with light, what they are doing in Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland. They basically artificially take out the electrons. Then you get something called as active oxygen, which has got, it's called hyperactive oxygen, which means that oxygen is unstable. It's looking for one more electron so that it can become stable. It's like a young unmarried man or a young unmarried woman who's looking to become stable. It's like, that stability is not there. That stherium is not there. So for oxygen to be stheria, it has to have this composition of 2 electrons, 1 neutron, like that. So similarly, soul's stheria position is Sat, Chit, and Ananda.
Why they, I'm a bit mundane, but why do they do it? To generate heat, right?
Oxygen
Because
they want to study the further divisions of electron.
Nuclear fission, things like that. Yeah.
No, that is sorted out for people. They want to study what particles make electron, what particles make nucleus, what particles, and therefore they're trying to find God particle, which is the root particle which makes everything. So a particle which is opposed to matter, and they call it antimatter because they lack names. They have a particle called graviton, which they say this is the particle which must be giving attraction and weight to everything. So they're just trying to break the matter further and trying to speculate is the best word. But if you take this video and publish and say, oh, so speculate, then some mad scientist will come and say they will show me a mathematical formula to prove it. But maths will always start with axioms, and the axiomatic truths are the truths which can't be denied. Like this, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Can you deny this? Can anyone deny this? No one can deny this. So these are axiomatic truths. So there are some axiomatic truths that exist which are mentioned in the Vedas. And so our knowledge is built on top of that. When scientists do this, they also begin with some axiomatic truth, but they also begin with some assumptions. So they are also scientists. We are also scientists. We are spiritual scientists. We don't begin with assumptions. We begin with axioms, and we begin with assumption that we are going to accept knowledge from parampara. That is our assumption. And then lastly, Krishna gives one more benediction. Difference in body, which is what I just wrote. In the material nature, attain to the supreme goal. So this is the benediction, another benediction of this chapter. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body, the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage of material nature, attain to the supreme goal. So just by reading this chapter, meditating and understanding this chapter, you have perfection available to you. So read it properly. Yes.
It's like a good conversation in Arjuna's situation, because he might get bewildered. He's thinking
he is the fighter. Okay. Yes, Sachikumar Nimai Prabhu is mentioning this beautiful point that Arjuna might actually think that he is the doer. He is the one who is fighting and killing these people. So for him, this conversation is really good.
We saw that in the universal form already.
Correct. Yeah, but in beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is thinking that I am the doer. Yeah. And by the time Krishna told 12th chapter, Arjuna was clear that Krishna is the supreme, but he still has questions. And therefore his 13th chapter begins with his questions. Okay, now I have seen the Purusha. I have seen Purusha. Now, but I still need to know that how am I acting then? Why am I fighting then? If Purusha, you have already killed Bhishma, you have already killed everyone. And you have said that I have to just become instrument, nimitta matra. So if I have to just become nimitta, if I have just to become instrument, but still how I think that I'm doing it, I'm going to fight, I'm going to lift up the bow, I'm going to shoot it, I'm going to think about it. So how does it all happen? So Arjun is asking, Prakritim Purusham Cheva. He wants to understand Prakriti because he understands that I am inside Prakriti at this point in time. And then he says, Prakritim Purusham Cheva, Jnanam Gneyam Cha Keshava. That knowledge, what is knowledge? I don't have knowledge. If I am about to shoot and I'm in this material, how this is all working. So then he wants to ask more questions in 14th chapter, which is the modes of nature, in which in this chapter Krishna said you are actually everything is happening under modes of nature, and then next chapter Krishna will explain modes of nature in much more details.
So it's going quite 12 seems a bit out of place, but the rest it seems
Yes, because it's a conversation, right? After seeing everything, Arjun is asking these questions because he wants to know, and he's doing it not just for himself, he wants to do it for all of us. Because after first studying Bhagavad Gita for 6 months, I was very morose. I was thinking, if everything Krishna is doing, why am I studying in this university? Why I have to give exams? I was just thinking like that. And then my mentor told me that, look, Arjun is still fighting, right? Because he knew that in 1 year, no one can understand Bhagavad Gita in 1 year. I was just fresher in Krishna consciousness. I needed another 6 years. He knew that. So he just explained to me that, look, Arjuna still fought, right? So you need to continue to fight and give your exams and continue to do things. Later on, I understood why Arjun continues to do this properly. And then he has the realization that he's not the doer. Anyways, it is bound to happen.
So the point that you said, this is beautiful because you're getting this stuti out of this liberation is offered, right? But then the Mayavadis will jump out of bed again, right? Because what is liberation?
Yeah, it's because the word liberation. See, Krishna, when he wants to use, Krishna used moksham. And Krishna can use very precise words. But Krishna wants to cater to all kinds of living entities. Because in 12th chapter, when Arjun actually asked him question that out of 2 categories, who will come to you? What should I do? So Krishna said, you should worship my personal form, but know that those who are on impersonal path will eventually come to me. Although their path is not easy, they will come to me. So Krishna is not going to leave his children. Even though they have imperfect understanding, Krishna still wants to bring them. So Krishna uses a language. Again, in Bhagavatam, there is a similar language. Therefore, they say, Pashyati sa pashyati. To actually see something, you need Acharya. You need to read, you need to memorize shlokas, you need to break down. Even if you memorize some shlokas, not because you have to give Bhakti Sastri exam. Because if you memorize shloka for Bhakti Sastri exam, you will forget the shlokas after 10 years, 5 years, 4 years. But if you have memorized the shloka for the joy of the soul, then even though sometimes you may forget the Sanskrit, you know exact word meaning. And you're just waiting for a moment when that word is repeated somewhere in a class or by some devotee, and immediately, yeah, I know that word. I'm not doing it. I know that word, but I'm not doing it. Internal voice will become very powerful because the cultivation, the grinding has happened. The soil has been made perfect. The grains are perfect. Okay, with that, I stop. We are just about overdue. I don't know if any other previous sessions were overdue. Occasionally. So this is my first session. Please forgive me for my going over time.
Fairness to you, because we had the exam, push things over.
Okay, it's still being recorded. So thank you for the nice words. What do people generally do after this? We just go, right?
Take prasadam.
Take prasadam. Okay, take prasadam. Thank you. Hare Krishna to everyone online. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
I'll pull one thing about the slides.
Yes.
Posting them up because it's very useful. It's quite technical to get the sections.
Okay, I can post them up. No problem. I can post them up.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So Mahaprasadam for you, bro?
I'll come with you just to honor.